Welcome to Nimmin Live, the #1 place on the internet to learn about YouTube, network with other content creators, and have an awesome time doing it. My name is Nick, and today I'm answering your YouTube questions. So if you have a question about what it is that you are doing on YouTube, there's a form down in the description of this stream right now on YouTube where you can go ahead and get your question answered on the stream today if you just get it into the form. It's all you got to do. It's free. Get your question in the form, and we can get it answered on the stream here today. Now, if you are watching this on the replay, I do want to let you know that this entire stream plays out based on the questions that people ask during this stream. So because of that, as of this moment right now, I have no idea how the stream is going to go, but what I can tell you is that once the stream is complete, we add timestamps to the description. So you're going to be able to go down there and look in those timestamps if you're watching this on the replay and find the content that's most relevant to you or the questions that, you know, that you want to know the answers to based around what it is that you are doing on YouTube. I also want to let you know, if you are watching this on the replay, that we also have a podcast available for this. If you go to Apple Podcasts or your other favorite podcasting platforms and you just type in Nimmin Live, then in that case, this particular audio should show up there as well. So if you want to listen to it while you're jogging or something like that, that's cool too. But as we are getting into the stream today, as everybody's showing up, for everybody that's here on YouTube, what is going on? Hope that you guys are doing fantastic. I'm excited to stream today. Super pumped up. So anytime I miss a stream, I think last week, I think I was doing the dentist thing, so I wasn't able to stream last week, but we're here today. Super pumped to, just get into it and to start answering your YouTube questions. But before we do, I do want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you by TubeBuddy, which is the #1 tool for YouTube content creators. TubeBuddy will help you identify topics to make videos about, help you identify thumbnails that are the most effective for the people that you're trying to reach through their A/B testing tool. They help you optimize your videos for discovery, all kinds of helpful features that they have, but they have over 90 different tools that can help you with your YouTube channel. You can try TubeBuddy for free at tubebuddy.com/Nimmin, and you can see what TubeBuddy can do for you. In addition to that, this stream is co-brought to you by the kind folks over at, if I got the camera there, StreamYard. They are the live streaming service that I use to stream this every single Saturday, unless I'm at the dentist, at 9 a.m. Eastern. And the reason that I use StreamYard is because they make live streaming easy for me. They do all the heavy lifting in the cloud. So in the event that I have a problem with my computer, with my network, if the power goes out for just a second, typically if I was using another piece of software, I would just completely lose the stream and everybody that was hanging out in the stream. But with StreamYard, they make it to where they hold everything open for me in the cloud and I can come back in as soon as I get all that stuff reset, or I can just hop in on my phone, keep everything moving while people are coming, or while everything's coming back on. In addition to that, they make it easy to add graphics onto the screen like you can see on the screen right now. And they also make it easy to bring on guests. They even have local recording now. So if you're a podcaster, they are a great resource for you. Or if you're doing any type of interviews where they record on both ends. They record on your end as the host, and they record on the guest end, and then they give you high quality footage from both, which is fantastic. So you can try StreamYard as well through the link that I have down in the description, or you can go to StreamYard.com and you can check them out for yourself as well. So with all of that stuff out of the way, I hope everybody's doing fantastic. I'm just super pumped up to just be here today. Looks like people are using those emojis, which is fantastic. Feel free, if you are a content creator and you don't know that YouTube has rolled out emojis pretty much across YouTube on every YouTube channel for their live streams. We have emojis now, not just normal emojis, but they're emotes. And with those, you just click on the little smiley face icon there in the YouTube chat. Click on that, and then you're going to see like a whole other section there of additional little, fun faces and things like that you can add. And make sure, if you're watching this on a mobile device, which I know most of you are, make sure that you are slamming that, that heart button, those faces, all of that. Because I see all of those coming in right here in the live chat right now, which looks pretty cool. It's my first time actually being able to see it on a computer, so super pumped about that. But what we're going to do, if this is your first time here, is we are answering YouTube questions. So this whole thing is free, and how it works is there's a form down in the description right now. We're starting to get some questions in there now, so make sure that you get your question in there quickly. But there's a form in the description, and you can put your question in there, and basically the whole form just says what's your question, what's your channel, that kind of stuff. And then I look at the question here, and then I answer the question. So right now, as we get started with the stream, I focus everything for the first probably 2 hours on the form itself. And then from time to time, I'll hop in the chat and answer a question there as well. So we can, try to answer as many questions as we possibly can, so we can try to help you simplify all of the complexities of YouTube. So we're going to go ahead and get into it, starting right now with, let's see here. The very first question here is from Cato Simple. Cato Simple says that they have I'm going to guess a Cato channel. Yeah, Cato product reviews, recipes, accountability, and lifestyle content. The goal of the channel is to grow a community and showcase my own weight loss, starting at over 420 pounds. Wow, high five and fist bump to you for doing that. And then the question is, for long form content, do you see YouTube moving away from thumbnails into more intro based attention grabbing techniques, or do you think thumbnails are likely to remain for a good while yet? So this is a fantastic question. So when it comes to this question, what they're referring to is if you're on a desktop computer and you hover over a thumbnail, then it's going to start auto playing the video. If you're on a mobile device and you're skimming through YouTube, you're going to see that YouTube is going to start, previewing or auto playing some of the videos that you pause on. So this question right here is more about, are they pretty much going to remove thumbnails and make thumbnails irrelevant and just focus everything on what it is that people are first seeing when the videos start? So here are my thoughts on that. Is the very first is to make sure that you are considering that autoplay. So, when you're putting your videos together, you may want to have, some text pop up on the screen or just something that's going to be attention grabbing for when that thumbnail goes away and your video does start playing. But in terms of thumbnails themselves, it's important to know that over 90% of the highest performing videos on YouTube have custom thumbnails. Because of that, they're probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But in addition to not just the fact that almost all of the successful videos on YouTube have thumbnails, in addition to that, YouTube will also show them in other places on YouTube where they are going to be grabbing attention. So for example, if you're watching this on a video watch page right now on a computer, for example, then in that case, you're going to see in the next up section over on the right-hand side of the suggested videos, you're going to see that they're giving you, a bunch of other things that you can watch. And if you're sitting here watching this stream right now, then you're going to notice that the only thing that you're seeing over on that side is thumbnails. So because of that, you're not always getting that autoplay. It's just happening in like when you're hovering over thumbnails and things like that. So because of that, keep using thumbnails. Make sure that you are considering that intro though, in terms of like, hey, if I'm talking about, like in my case, right? Because I'm talking about growing on YouTube. So some things in my case that I might want to make sure that I highlight is maybe putting some text on there that will resonate with you guys. So if you hover over it, then you're going to see, more of what I'm saying. Maybe I'll make that, big and bold so you can focus on it. I'm not sure. But the idea is to just think of the people that are interested in your type of content. And this is always the game, right? The people that are interested in your type of content, what can you do through your thumbnail imagery to help them identify that it's something they care about? But how can you emphasize that on your intro so that if they do start auto playing it there, then how can you also use that moment in time to also possibly capture them?
What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech.
Viper, man about tech in the house. What is going on, Viper? Hope you're doing fantastic, man. Nice to see you in the stream today. Shark Scrapper here today in the chat. What's up, Ernie? Hope you're doing fantastic, man. My brother D in the chat hanging out. Creator Classroom, nice to see you here today as well. Chantel Hills, nice to see you here in the stream today. Jacker Crackers, love your channel name, man. Hope you're doing fantastic. Aperture Movement, hope that you are doing fantastic today as well. Doug Houston, YT, what's going on, my man? Neil, Urban Van Life, hope that you are also doing fantastic, as well as everybody else here that's hanging out and enjoying the stream and just the conversation that's happening today. So hopefully that answered your question on the thumbnail and the video intro part, and we're going to move on to the next question now. So this next question is actually going to be a super chat from Learn Spanish World. Thank you for that, by the way. And it says, hey, Nick, a few times some of my shorts have been deleted. I get this SMS, shorts have been removed due to updated remix permissions, and I haven't updated anything as it's my own video. Why does this happen? So if it's your own video and it gets deleted, then the only thing that could have happened in that situation to make that actually, disappear would be that you would have had to have gone in and unchecked that box to remove the ability for people to make remixes of your content. And when you do that, then of course it would remove any remixes that were attached to that. If you haven't done that, if you did not go in and physically check that box and save it and cause that change to happen, then in that case, that's a bug. And you might want to report that to YouTube or reach out to Team YouTube on Twitter. You can contact them if you just at Team YouTube and, throw it in their direction on Twitter and see if they can help you uncover that. Because in that case, if you didn't uncheck that box, then in that case, I would lean on a bug in that situation in order to be on the safe side. And Renee Ritchie says, if a video is edited later, and he works at YouTube, by the way, he says, if a video is edited later, the remix or short edit will be removed to prevent whatever cut from being shown in the remix and short, or whatever cut out in the remix or short. So if you make remixes shorts after the edit, they'll be fine. So that's another thing to consider there. Learn Spanish World is if you did make any changes at all, but if you didn't do anything to the video, you didn't uncheck that box, and in that case, I would definitely reach out to Team YouTube, see if they can get that sorted, or just to bring it to their attention, because it might be something that's happening across the platform. They just might not have, had anybody reach out to them yet to, bring it to their attention. So next up on our list, we have DRN Makes. DRN says, the type of channel says, I used to have a game development channel, but I want to change it and make a channel where I make stuff. The goal of the channel says I want to show the world my ideas and try to make some money out of it, hopefully. And the question is, for context, I feel like doing a game development channel is not enough to grow my channel. So I thought that I would want to change my niche from game development to making stuff. But before this, I already have quite an audience that loves my game development channel. Really quick, I just want to say that sounds contradictory with how you're saying, like, I don't think it's enough to grow my channel, but I already have quite an audience that loves my gaming development channel. But the question is, how do you change your niche to aim at a new audience without losing your previous audience? Here's the problem, right? So what you're dealing with right here in terms of starting your channel in one direction and wanting to take it in another direction is that's a common thing with content creators, because some people will start and then they'll start making content for a while and they'll be like, you know what, this isn't really the thing that I want to really focus on. And because of that, they'll end up, not really, being into it. And then they'll want to pivot their channel. However, when it comes to taking the audience with you, that's a totally different thing, because if you want to pivot the channel, then that's okay, because then you can start, making more content that's in the direction that you're wanting to move the channel into. The problem comes when it comes down to depending on the interests of the people that are interacting with your current content. So for example, you had mentioned here that you're going to start making stuff. So if you do game development content, and within that game development content, you have a bunch of people there that are game developers, and they are wanting to better understand how to make games, or they want to watch your journey through making games or something like that, then in that case, you have them with the interest set of like, hey, I'm interested in game development. So because of that, I'm going to make sure that I'm watching this channel on a regular basis. But then you have the other side, which is, okay, now I'm going to, and I'm just using this as an example, but now I'm going to show them me making a desk, right? I'm going to show them making a desk because that's just something that I want to make. And when you show them making that desk, the problem happens when the people that are interested in the game content, they don't really care about making a desk, right? And then from there, you're like, okay, so I want to make the desk. And then after I make that desk, I'm going to make, my own tripod for my camera. And again, I'm just throwing these examples out. So the problem happens again to where it's like, okay, those people that are signing up for the games, if they don't care about desks, you're not going to get them to click on that. If they don't care about the tripods, then you're not going to get them to click on that. So then you end up with those people not coming over just because of their interests. Now, of course, the sweet spot is if you were in a position to where, you had the type of like channel and the type of content that you're putting out and the personality that people are just watching you, and it doesn't matter what you do. That's a really rare thing. Does happen on YouTube, but that's a pretty rare thing. But you'll notice right away when you start making the new content in the direction that you want to go, you'll notice if you're going to have, the people that are regularly watching your gaming development videos, you're going to notice if they're coming into your new content or not. But before we do that, another thing that I want to just bring to your attention is for the people that are, interacting with your gaming development content. Go in and look at how many views per viewer you're getting. Go in and look at how many new viewers that you're getting in front of compared to returning viewers. And that might also be something that you want to consider in your decision, because you may find, you might not as well, but you may or you may not find that, not every person is watching every video that you put out. Not every person is coming back to the channel on a regular basis, right? That you're getting in front of a lot of new people as well. And that's where, some of your numbers are coming from. So because of that, I would just make sure that you are looking there, and that you are just considering that if you are going to pivot, that you need to pivot based on what it is that you want, of course, and the direction that you want to go. And then the people that want to come along, they'll come along. The people that don't, it's okay, because through that pivot, you're going to grow a new audience that are interested in watching people build a bunch of random stuff. So hopefully that helps. If you guys enjoyed that, make sure you hit that little emoji button down there, that little heart or yeah, that little heart there. So I love seeing that kind of float here in the stream. It's like a good feedback mechanism here. Yeah, again, first time seeing that in the stream. So what I'm talking about is when you guys hit that little heart button down there in the bottom right-hand side, if you're on a mobile device, I see those. They just sit there and they just like float up in my chat, which is pretty cool. So let's see here. So TubeSpanner, Danielle, what's going on? Says, why do videos about metal fasteners get such good retention? People find them riveting. Nice. Seriously, you got to do a coffee table book. Like, I'm not joking. A YouTube joke coffee table book, a joke a day. So 365 of those. And then you got a book that you can put out. Hey, speaking of TubeSpanner, by the way, for those of you that are a TubeSpanner user, make sure that you do get your TubeSpanner notepad out. If you're not a TubeSpanner user, just as a heads up, just as a reminder for those of you that aren't using it yet, there is a built-in, and this is for computers. If you're on a mobile device, of course, this isn't going to help you, but not yet anyway. But there's a tool within TubeSpanner. It's a free part of TubeSpanner where you can actually take notes on this live stream, and then you can download those notes after the stream, so you can make sure that you're keeping track of all the different things that you learn, or just all the things that you want to take notes on during the stream. So you make sure you check that out. I got a link to that in the description as well. Or of course, you can just go to tubespanner.com and you can try that for free as well. And you'll see on the TubeSpanner channel, I'm making content over there, all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely going to be something that you're going to want if you don't already. It's definitely going to be something that you're going to want to be involved with in terms of the tool, as it's a toolkit that helps YouTube content creators in a bunch of different ways. So next up, we've got Small Town Tourist as our next question here. They upload when they have time. They do a travel history channel. The goal of the channel is to educate my audience and earn money. And the question is getting the majority of my views and watch hours from external sites harmful to my channel? It's not harmful to your channel, but it's not... Like, it's bringing people into your YouTube channel, and if those people are the right people, then it can help YouTube, quickly understand who the right people are to show your content to based on how those people are interacting with your content. However, if you're like, hey, I'm just going in these random Facebook groups where people are just like, like sharing watch, to where if I put my video there and they put their videos there, we just all kind of watch each other's videos to help each other get views. Or if you're on Reddit and you're doing that kind of stuff, then, or you're doing things like where you're going on like certain subreddits and you're like trying to get feedback just so you can get people to look at your videos, and you're not getting the right people into your content, then in that case, it's not helping you, right? But if you are like wanting to thrive on YouTube, what you need to do, and it doesn't matter what other way that you get traffic, what you need to focus all of your efforts on is, how do I get people to respond good to my content on YouTube? Because if you can learn to get people to respond to your content on YouTube, then in that case, you don't have to worry about like, hey, I got to make sure I'm sharing my stuff over here. I got to make sure I'm sharing my stuff over here. Instead, you publish a video, and because you're publishing good content, you know how to get the target audience that you're trying to reach to respond to it. Then in that case, you're putting together content that's a good experience for them, and you've made it easy for them to identify it's something that they care about. So then from there, as long as they respond to it at the click level, and then they come in and they start enjoying the content, and then they, watch it and maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe they like it, maybe they share it with people, whatever, then YouTube identifies that, hey, this person really enjoyed this content, or this group of people really enjoyed this content when we show it to them on YouTube. And then when that happens, then once they identify that people are really enjoying this content, then they'll show it to more people. So if you want to really thrive on YouTube, the best thing you can do is learn how to tap into making good content for people so that YouTube will show your content to more people. Now, saying that, right? Saying like, learn how to make good content, like that's easy to say because, there is a lot of complexity when it comes to learning how to make good content for people. So let's talk about that for a second. So when it comes to making good content for people, like some things that you got to think about is, one, the content should have a structure of some kind, meaning you take people from this to this to this to this. And it doesn't matter if you're doing gaming content, it doesn't matter if you're doing vlogs, it doesn't matter if you're, teaching people stuff, it doesn't matter like what it is that you're doing. You want to have some type of structure to it, because if you have that structure, it's going to help you in a few different ways. One of those ways is it's going to, kind of segment your process, for editing. Two, it's going to create an actual experience for people instead of them watching it and trying to figure out what's going on or what it is that you're doing or, what might be happening next. Through your structure, take people through your content instead of just kind of throwing it all at them, so to speak. So there's more intentionality involved. In addition to that, if you have a structure of some kind, of course, most of this is content dependent, but if you have a If you have a structure of some kind, another thing that you can do, because you know that structure you're going to be taking people through, is you can actually use that in the hook or the very first part of your video. So like, for example, if you are somebody that's on camera, then in that case, you can say, hey, I'm going to be showing you this, or I'm going to be taking you on this journey with me today, or hey, hey, here we are. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are going to the mall and we're going to try to find, the best clothes that we can possibly find for the cheapest price, right? So then you are creating that initial part of the structure for them, and you're letting them know, hey, this is what it is that I'm going to be taking you through. And then, through that whole thing, then in that particular case, you are, kind of getting them attached to the video or interested in the video at the beginning. And then of course, through the structure that you create or that you plan out for your video, then you're, literally pulling them, through your content. So because of that, just make sure that you have, a structure for your video. The next thing you want to do is, of course, make sure you have a hook, which is part of what I talked about. If you're not somebody that goes on camera, then in that case, if you're doing animation content or something like that, then in that case, when your videos first start, you do want to start setting up the story in that case, because that is, part of your hook as well. But then once you start getting into the content, the next thing that you have to do, and this is the part that frustrates a lot of content creators, especially if you're getting started, but the next thing you have to do is you have to start leaning on the data that you get back from YouTube to start making better decisions about the content that you're making. So for example, you're like, okay, hey, this is my intentional structure that I'm putting together. So this is what I'm starting with. But now what I'm going to do once I start publishing videos is I'm going to start going into my YouTube analytics, and I'm going to start trying to pay attention through my audience retention reports. And that's one, if you're taking notes, make sure you write that down if you're not familiar with what that is, and Google it, and you'll get a lot of information about audience retention reports. But you want to go into your audience retention reports, and you want to say, okay, do I notice any type of patterns in any of the content that I'm putting out, or even in one video, where I do something in that video and it causes people to leave? If so, then you start adjusting your structure of your video that you take people through, and you start making notes. Okay, when I do these things in the videos, people leave. When I do these things, people typically stay for a longer period of time. When I make videos like this, people typically enjoy them more. When I make videos like this, they don't. But you start using the data from YouTube to inform you on how you can make the better content for the people that you're trying to reach with the content that you have. So that's the idea when it comes to, making the better content. And if you can learn to do that, and you can learn to do it consistently, then in that case, you're not going to have to try to share your videos all over the place in order to get, a handful of those people, or even a lot of those people, to come in. Now, in some cases, just as a heads up, you can share extremely effectively. So for example, on Reddit, there's certain subreddits where you can go in there if your content type supports it, and if it's a great fit for some of those subreddits, where you'll post a video there and people will love it. And then you'll get crushed with a bunch of views. But with a lot of content, that's just not something that, that you want to be spending a lot of time on, because at the end of the day, no matter what, and it doesn't matter where you're sharing content, you still have to learn how to get people to respond on YouTube if you want to thrive on YouTube, right? Roger Wakefield in the house. What's up, man? Hope you're doing fantastic. Nice to see you. Merry Christmas to you as well. And he says, Merry Christmas to us, me and Dee, and to the entire Nimmin. Thank you for that, Roger. Hope that you're doing fantastic, my man. Merry Christmas to you as well. And Happy New Year as well to you and everybody else here. Dee and I are actually doing a stream this coming Saturday on Christmas Eve. Local time, we are going to be doing a live stream together again. We're going old school on everybody here. Okay, so next up on our list here, we've got Ain't Newbie. Ain't Newbie says they upload when they have time. They've been on YouTube for a year or more. The type of channel is Roblox Gaming Let's Play. The goal of the channel is to entertain people with a unique quality video. And the question is, if I were to commentate on someone else's video on my video, that can fall somebody else's video on, if they do a commentate, if they commentate on somebody else's video for their video, that can fall under fair use dealing. But what if that person's video contains licensed music? Yeah, then in that case, you're going to be the one that's at risk there. So because of that, I would not risk that. One thing that you could do, just as kind of like a workaround or like one safety measure, but I still wouldn't, I still wouldn't use it in that case. But one thing that you could do is just one safety measure is some content creators, they will put a link in the description of like what music service they use. So for example, we have our music service called Creator Mix. A lot of you that hang out in the stream, you're familiar with this already. But with Creator Mix, basically, some people will put a link to Creator Mix in their video descriptions. So So if it was a content creator that was using Creator Mix, then in that particular case, you would say like, okay, so if they're using Creator Mix, then you go and research Creator Mix and you're like, okay, it seems like, this is all like free to use music. So then in that case, I'll sign up for an account there and then I can go ahead and do it. In addition to that, let's say that you see that they're using Epidemic Sound or something like that, or Artlist or somebody, then in that case, that same exact thing, okay, let me see if I can find this song. And then you go through and you could look through their humongous archive of songs, or the worst thing to do, but this is an option. I'm just saying if you really wanted to do it, would be cross your fingers, sign up for one of those accounts and then do it. But then what you're going to end up doing in that process is you're going to end up signing up for a bunch of accounts that, some of them can get pretty expensive, like Artlist, for example. I think it's like $300 or $400 a year. But like when you sign up for them, then you would end up spending a lot of money signing up for all these different services just so you can use a song. So because of that, I would either try to only use the ones that have, free to use music in them if you are going to do that sort of thing. But even still, like I would be careful. I would always be careful when it comes to using other people's content, because we're like one legal, change away from that, kind of imploding on people. Another thing with that too, is I actually am going to have some information coming out. It might be happening actually in my live stream next week. But for the news live stream that I do on Fridays, but there's actually a risky thing right now that's going to be happening in 2023 that is kind of putting YouTube recommendations at risk. So this thing has surfaced before in the past in a different way, and it's surfacing again with a legal case that's actually going to the Supreme Court here. I think it's in February of next year. It's either in February or June of next year. But it's one of those things that like has, for people that know about this, it's kind of got everybody on edge a little bit, in that sort of thing. But just make sure you check in for the news, because I think that's where I'm going to, kind of explain it to everybody a little bit more. I might even make a video about it as well, because, if there are actions that we can take as a community to, talk to, to send letters or phone calls or emails or whatever to anybody that we need to, then, then I'll be making that video so that we can all kind of get on board with that. But in addition to that, Renee Ritchie says, also Bill C-11, that, that's happening in Canada. So there's like a lot of, things like that going on right now. So just make sure that, make sure that you guys are, paying attention. Make sure you're following, follow, me on Twitter, follow my brother on Twitter, follow Renee Ritchie on Twitter, follow Team YouTube on Twitter, follow, start looking around for like people that work at YouTube, follow them on Twitter, follow them on LinkedIn. And the reason that you want to do that is because when things like this, pop up, those are like the first places that you're going to see, that type of information. So just make sure that you are, kind of doing your own, as a content creator, if you're somebody that's doing this seriously, make sure that you are doing your own, due diligence there, so to speak, by, following the accounts where you can get that kind of information when there are, risks like that pop up. So next up, we've got Exclamation Destination. They upload 1 time per week or more. Hybrid Steel, what's going on, man? Hope that you're doing fantastic. Wait a minute. Didn't you get your channel? Did you get your channel back? Yeah, I hope that's your new. Or not your new channel, but I hope that's your old channel. I hope that you got it. Hope you got it back. Let's see here. So next up, we've got, let's see here. We did, Exclamation Destination says that they do travel content. The goal of the channel is to do YouTube full time. And the question is, I just started a new travel channel. Some videos cover a destination with a number of highlighted places to see at that destination. My question is, should I put the best highlighted place at the beginning of my video with the hook to keep retention, or should I put it towards the end for the payoff? Experiment. See which one people respond to best. So you could just give little like glimpses of it, or, just talk about how you're going to go into detail about that or whatever. Just kind of experiment at the front. But, with all of your ideas, Shane, as a content creator, one of the best things that you can do is you can say, you know what? I have this idea. So since I had this idea of like, hey, should I try this at the beginning? Should I try it at the end? I'm going to experiment through the different videos that I publish. I'm going to see which ones the people that are responding to my content in terms of, clicking on it, I'm going to be able to see what they respond to best, right? Because through those experimentations, you can really learn a lot about the people that are interacting with your content and the things that they do and do not like when it comes to, the videos that they're watching. So I really recommend that you do that. Let's see here. So Science-Based Fitness, thank you for the super chat. Says, hey, Nick, I'm still slowly growing. I appreciate your help. Merry Chrysler. I don't know if that was a typo or not, but yeah, Merry Christmas or Chrysler, to you as well. Hope that you are fantastic. So D says, show his tweet on the screen. I'm not sure what's going on there. Hold on. Let me pull up D's Twitter account here really quick. He says, show my tweet on your screen. So I'm going to go here to D's thing. Let's see the reveal that we have. Let's see here. Okay, so that's for that. Yeah, I'm not sure which tweet what you're talking about there, D. So I see one here from where you're holding your phone. I see another one here from Neil about one of the YouTube features there, but I'll show it anyway, just for the sake of showing that. You guys are actually going to see the whole interface here. Let me move this one over to here so you don't see that one because that one's top secret. So then let's see. There we go. Okay, so present, and then let's do share screen. And then we have this, and then bam. So here is D's channel. Yeah, I know. Renee's like, yeah, Nick has lots of trust in D's Twitter feed. Yeah, I'm like nervous right now because I know D, right? He's getting ready to troll me probably. So yeah, so like right here, for example, how D's retweeted this right here, talking about a new tool for creators, talking about, the video processing thing that we were talking about in the news yesterday. I'm not going to show some of the other stuff there just because I'm not sure what I have. Tweets and replies. He's like directing me through this here. Let's see what we got. Okay, I'm just going to add this to the stream. Oh, interesting. So the Urban Explorer says, I have to get this cleaned up, lights fixed, new cam and audio system together by next Saturday. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so here's what we got. So since we're streaming here, oh my gosh. So this, for those of you that have been around for a while, like you're going to recognize this setup right here, right? Because this is when we, started like really going hard on live streams when D and I would live stream every Saturday together. But you can see here, he's got to clean all this up by Saturday. So D, it might be easier for you to just come over here. And then, we set up a camera pointing in this way. I can get a mic over there. That's probably an easier way to do it instead of trying to do that. Cause that's a doozy, right there. All right. So next up on our list here, let me move this back over into here. Okay, there we go. And let me remove this, stop screen. Okay. So next up on our list here, let me scroll up here because there were some super chats that come in. Let me get those really quick and then we'll get back into the form. So let's see here. So Neil says, go buy D a few energy drinks. He's going to need it. Absolutely. Absolutely he is. Ace Trainer Moose says, thanks for the tips over the past few years. Nick started posting on a new channel a month ago and already over 600 watch hours and 200 subscribers. Thanks for all the help. High five and fist bump to you for knocking out your first 200 subscribers in a month. That's nice work. Fantastic. And you've got 600 watch hours already too. So you're definitely heading in the right direction. Nice work there. Always love those. Make sure I got everybody caught up here, and I do. Okay. So let's see here. So next up on our list, we got that question there. So we're on to question number 6 now. And this one is from Samples and Tests. Samples and Tests says that they do variety content. The goal of the channel is to figure it out as they go and eventually make money. And the question is it a good idea to make videos focusing on a product and service, niche related, that you have an affiliate with, assuming you disclose that it's an affiliate? It can be. If you are trying to, generate income, which you said that you are eventually making money, then in that case, there's different approaches that you can take. So I'm a fan of the approach where you're like, hey, I'm going to build a YouTube channel. I'm going to build something that's sustainable. I'm going to build something where I can continually add value to people over a long period of time. And I'm going to play the long game. And by playing the long game, it's going to help me be able to, if you're trying to make money, it's going to help me be able to add the most value and make the most money over a period of time. And then there's the other approach where you're like, hey, I'm going to make a YouTube channel where I'm going to feature, or where I'm just going to focus on like every video, where I'm trying to like promote something and I'm trying to do that. That's fine. Those do work. And you can make, substantial amounts of money doing that. But I would just make sure that you do, make sure that you are, finding ways to add value through the content that you're putting out. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to just be throwing stuff at people all the time and, trying to get people to buy stuff all the time. Because if you are doing that, then in that case, you will make sales, but you're probably going to have a little bit more of a difficult time, trying to, grow a community and things like that. But if you're like, hey, I'm adding value to you and I'm also bringing other things to your attention that I can make money off of, I believe that that's a good approach to take. And that's much more marathon thinking than it is sprint thinking, so to speak. So for that, I would definitely, consider that approach. But of course, your call, both of them work in terms of, accomplishing your final goal, which is eventually make money. Both of them, will do the same thing there. But I think that you will get, and this is from, my experience and from the experiences of everybody that I know that has a successful YouTube channel. When you are trying to do it to make money, then in that particular case, you will make money. However, if you're like, hey, I'm going to make money, but I'm also going to try to add as much value that I can to people. And keep in mind, value is interpreted differently by everybody. But, value typically comes down to you are entertaining people, you are motivating people, you're teaching people stuff, those types of things. You're trying to help people think in different ways, that kind of stuff. It's all value. But basically, if you make sure that you're always focused on value first, as Doug Hewson, proudly promotes there with the value first, if you make sure you're focusing on that, then in that particular case, there's going to be a lot more opportunities that are going to come your way that will help you thrive even more than just focusing on like, hey, I'm going to sell this thing as an affiliate, right? So then by doing that, you're growing your personal brand or just a brand, and you are also bringing attention to, particular things that you believe in. Let's see here. So next up on our list here, Ron's Trains and Things. Nice to see you, my man. Hope that you are doing fantastic today. The Matt Cave, what's going on? Hope that you are doing great here as well. Coach Sherry, nice to see you on the stream today. Good morning. So Valerie YT is the next channel. They have a motivational channel. The goal of the channel is to make an impact as a creator. And let's see here. The question is, hey, Nick, what is the best way to ask my subs to become channel members if I have a faceless channel? What could I offer those members if I don't want to go on camera? Exclusive content. If you don't want to go on camera and you're doing, motivational stuff, then in that particular case, you could offer exclusive content to them that you don't publish on your YouTube channel. So you would have to balance out, if that would be worth it for you or not. You could offer other motivation related things. So this is one where knowing your audience would, add a lot of clarity here. So if you're going after people that are watching content, that is motivational content, then there's a really good chance that they're either trying to get motivated or they're already a motivated person. They're just adding fuel to the fire, so to speak. So then in that particular case, what you would want to think of is like, okay, people that are either driven or trying to be driven to, to do things or to, accomplish stuff, then, for those types of people, what could I offer? So then in your particular case, if you did have like, channel members, you could offer like downloads, for example, because like in your community post, you have the option there to where you can put, exclusive stuff that only members can see. So you could drop exclusive videos there, just short motivational things. You could do motivational messages there. You could create like an email that people would get where you can send out like daily emails to them that just kind of, help them start their day off right. You could put together like, routines for people. I mean, I'm just spitballing with you here. Like I'm not sure what, skill set you have and what, exactly you'd be able to do. So I'm just throwing some stuff at you here. But you could do, like routines that you put together for people in terms of like, wake up, do this, then do this, then do this. If you're reaching more of the people that are trying to, motivate themselves. And then if you are tapping into the people that are already motivated, then just, kind of reinforcing, that motivation through additional, motivational messaging in text form, image form, and all of that through your community feed. But keep in mind, if you're doing that, you would definitely need to balance out, in your case specifically, like, okay, if I'm adding all this exclusive stuff, would it actually be more advantageous to me to just leave this public and not necessarily, close it down to members only, right? So you would just have to balance that out. So if you can get a lot of people joining, then of course it would be. But if you're like, hey, I'm having a hard time getting people to sign up and things like that, then you would need to reconsider, of course, exactly what it is that you're offering, obviously, right? So hopefully that helps. But that's, just a little bit of brainstorming there. And hey, for those of you that are watching over on Instagram, looks like we just got a couple people over there. We are live over on YouTube as well. So over on YouTube, there's a form down in the description that people are filling out. And that's where I'm pulling these questions from that you're listening to. But feel free, if you want to just listen over there on Instagram, that's totally cool. But I, encourage you, if you do have a YouTube app in your phone, to head over here to YouTube and come over to my channel here, where you can actually join in the conversation, because we've got like 245 people hanging out here, other content creators that, that you can hang out with, or at least you can participate in the chat over there as well. So next up, we've got X Diamond. X Diamond does bi-weekly content. They have a music channel. The goal is to be famous someday. And the question is, hello, Nick. In the last 2 months, I've created many shorts of my long videos to increase exposure of my channel. But since I started doing it, views of my long videos have started to go down. Why does this happen? So I would definitely need more context here, because it's possible that maybe you're not uploading as much long form content because you're leaning on the short form content, things like that. And, those types of things can cause you to start getting, more attention on the shorts if people are responding better to the shorts. And it might seem like the long videos are going down, or just through time, they're just, kind of losing a little bit of steam just based on them being on the platform for a little bit. Things like that can happen. But in terms of you publishing shorts and that making YouTube stop giving impressions on your long form content, that's not something that you should be too concerned about, because that shouldn't be, as long as everything else is, like staying the same, and you're not just like flooding your channel with YouTube shorts, for example, and you're putting out like one long form video and then like 100 YouTube shorts, then in that case, the long form content should still, be maintaining there. Kato Simple says, thank you for the super chat, by the way, says, what is the best way to be, to bring notice to the availability of video super thanks to your content? So with those, I'm kind of on the fence with this one. So I made some graphics. So I have a website called Tuber Tools, and there it's basically like a whole website where people can get like video graphics and stuff. And there we actually made some super thanks graphics, but I didn't put them in there because I was watching a YouTube video, like when all that stuff was happening. And in that particular, like when they first rolled this out, and in the particular video that I was watching, the content creator was like really like, he was focusing more on trying to get people to give a super thanks than he was the actual content itself. And I was like, man, if I put this in Tuber Tools, then there's a really good chance that people are going to be like trying to like force that more than they're going to be trying to give value, which is something people already do with trying to get subscribers. So I'm like, if we put this in here, then it could kind of get people doing the wrong thing. So because of that, I just decided not even to put them in there. But if you wanted to, you could absolutely, you could add graphics to it. You could add some type of call to action in terms of, this is what a lot of people do, is they'll say something like, hey, and by the way, as a means to, support the channel so I can make more content like this, there's a, button you can click called super thanks, to where you can, donate a little bit of the channel if you're enjoying the content. And just those little call to actions, can go a long way. But just keep in mind, when it comes to YouTube, any of those little nudges that you can give are powerful and they work. However, the thing that you have to make sure that you're focusing on more than everything else, and this comes to your calls to action for everything, trying to get people to comment, trying to get people to subscribe, trying to get people to give you super thanks, all that stuff. Like, at the core of everything, you have to make sure that you're focusing on the value that you're giving, because if you're not focused on that, then there's no, it's like, hey, this person, every time I watch their video, they're trying to get me to give them a super thanks. And I can go watch 100 other YouTube channels that are going to show me similar content where they're not doing that. So because of that, I would just try to make your call to action for that just kind of subtle, so that it's there. You're giving them that nudge for the people that are like, really into what it is that you're doing, but it's not something that you're trying to, cram down everybody's throat and trying to get, everybody to do that's watching the videos. The Artist Haven says, member for 36 months. Thank you for that. Says, wishing you and your family and the Nimminati a happy and blessed holiday season. You too. You too. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate the message and the snowman emoji and the present emoji. Like those are great too. So thanks. So here, next up on our list here, we've got quotes for you. I'm going to guess it's a quotes channel. Yes, it is. The goal is to improve people's lives. Fantastic. And the question is, hey, Nick, how can I take advantage of shorts to build community? Upload a decent amount of shorts to your YouTube channel, keep consistent with them, upload on a regular basis, and make sure that you're just paying attention to the stuff that works and the stuff that doesn't work. So for example, one thing I'm noticing, because I'm going through this process right now on TikTok, right? Because I'm uploading some content over there as well. And by the way, if you're not following me on TikTok, make sure that you do, because I'm going to start live streaming over there as well. But I'm also uploading like content up there that you're not seeing on YouTube. So one thing that I'm noticing on TikTok, and this is what all of you also have to be, just kind of mindful of when it comes to, the patterns of the things people respond to, is like right now, if I go to my TikTok account, I can see that the content that's doing the best right now is the content that doesn't have me in it. right? So I'm like, okay. So I either need to work on like my messaging there in terms of maybe how I'm starting the videos, or maybe, show them some other stuff first and then bring them to me or something like that. But the content that seems to be doing, the most outlier content seems to be content that is the last two videos really. Out of the last three videos, it would be the last two, or the not the newest, but the two before it, where I'm focusing on like the camera tech and a quick tip for that. And then the other one, I'm focusing on this live streaming device that I have over here that I'm using to multicast this. InStream is what it's called. But for there, I'm focusing both of those on the tech and not on me. So because of that, what I'm thinking, because you got to apply theory to this and think like, okay, why would they be responding better to that compared to some of the other stuff? And one of the things right out of the gate is there's a lot more people that just have cameras in general than there are that people that have, that have YouTube channels that might be watching that. So because of that, same thing with the tech, like, hey, we got, people on all of these platforms that might be on TikTok that could get value from those things. So maybe that's where the win's happening. So what I have to do is I have to experiment and say, okay, well, now I'm going to start, making some where I'm focusing maybe some on some like studio tips, maybe some, little hacks for when you're doing stuff with your camera, things like that. In addition to tossing in some more, quick YouTube tips, maybe more screenshot related things, as a way to experiment and figure out, what it is that, the people that TikTok is showing my stuff to over there, the stuff that they'll respond to. But, when it comes to all of this, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to, any of these platforms, the whole thing, if you want to, thrive on them, is figuring out like, okay, what is it that people respond to when I publish it? And then from there, doubling down on the stuff people respond to and doing less of the stuff that people don't respond to, with the exception of the things that you're like, hey, I want to make this, like, I want to make this video. I want to get this out there. I want to show this to people or whatever. Then in that case, you should still do those. But just when it comes to performance overall, you got to make sure that you are paying attention to the things that people are and are not responding to, so that you can, help yourself thrive by doing more of the stuff that people do respond to. So next up, we've got, we did quotes for you already. So next up, we've got the Creator Classroom. Creator Classroom does Canva tutorials that helps content creators better understand how to use Canva for YouTube specifically. But the goal of the channel is to help people learn how to use Canva for their YouTube channels. The question is, I get so excited about Canva, especially when there are new features, that I can't figure out how to have a hard stop with a time limit when I know it's best for my body to have a hard stop. I've been having such a health struggle lately that I won't be able to actually talk Canva for hours during my streams. But yesterday I had a hard stop of 30 minutes and wound up talking for 43. Thankfully, I had a co-host, so the burden of actually speaking wasn't on me the entire time. Thanks for your feedback. So I'm going to guess, because I didn't see a question in here, so I'm going to guess your question is about like, hey, how do I stop at those times that I'm wanting to stop at? So of course, one of the things that that if you want to do a hard stop is just monitoring the time. And if you monitor the time, then just as you start getting closer to that time, just start closing it down, right? Because like when it comes to live streaming, one of the things that live streaming or making content, but you said a co-host, so I'm going to guess it was a live stream. But when you are live streaming, it's really easy to just keep going, especially if you got people in the chat and people are interacting, like, like, especially like in your case, right? The content that you're making is adding value to people. I'm sure you're enjoying that because, you're bringing attention to what it is that you're doing. You're probably making some affiliate sales from Canva, so you're making some money there. Plus, you're adding value and you're teaching people how to do stuff, and they're hanging out in your chat and they're appreciating what it is that you're doing. So it's hard to walk away. Like even me, like, like right now it's almost 10 p.m. where I am. And the later in the stream, I was actually talking to Dee today about experimenting with like doing like 2 hours instead of 3. But later in the stream, one of the things that's going to happen as we start approaching the 12 o'clock time is I'm still, unless my brain is, turning into mashed potatoes, if I'm still like focused and everything, then as we approach that time, I start thinking like, hey, we're getting close to 12. Like I should shut it down, but like I can still like go, right? Like there's still questions that need to be answered. There's still people that are asking questions in chat, and there's still, people that you can help. So because of that, it makes it hard to stop sometimes when you're like, hey, I got to stop. But the thing that I want to focus on is the health side of things. We're like, hey, I've been having like a health struggle lately where I'm not actually able to talk Canva for hours during my streams. So in that case, you have to make sure that you're prioritizing yourself, because if like in forcing the stop. So it's like, hey, we've been, showing this, and all that, but hey, I have, other things that I have to do, or my time limit for this is, to this particular time and we're rolling up on it. So we're going to have to pick this up in the next stream or something like that and just call it. And the reason for that is because when you're adding value to people, the best thing that you can do is take care of yourself, take care of your energy, make sure that, you're able to, function in the way that you need to in order to make sure that you're able to deliver the value that you deliver. So because of that, I would just do hard stops if you can, or just let people know, hey, the people that are hanging out in the stream, just let them know, hey, we're going to be stopping here in about, 10 minutes or so. So we're going to try to get through as much as we can. If we don't get through it, then, we'll be having another stream on this day that we can kind of pick up where we left off. So hopefully you'll come hang out there, that kind of stuff. But the idea is make sure that you're taking care of yourself first, because always, 100% of the time, if you're not taking care of yourself, it's going to be reflected in everything that you do. It's going to be reflected literally in everything that you do if you're not taking care of yourself, okay? Next up on our list, we've got Jacker Crackers. Jacker Crackers says they upload when they have time. They do tech content. The goal is to gain subscribers. And the question is, do you recommend going multi-platform? What's the dentist thing? I'm not sure what that is. I got stitches this week. I feel of my scooter. Please let the stream know. I'm scared. Think I'm going to be okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the exact question is there. But in terms of going multi-platform, I do. As a content creator, especially if you have content that is, well suited for multi-platform, then in that case, you might upload a TikTok video, and you might upload an Instagram video, and you might upload a YouTube short, and then a YouTube long form video. And then let's say you hop on like Clapper and you're uploading vertical videos over there too. And you take that same video and you upload it in all these places, with a different format. And when you do that, you're going to find out that maybe on Instagram, people over there, just based on how their system works, like the people that they're showing it to over there, they love it. But then you've got your TikTok account, like nobody's watching it over there. You get like 3 views, but you get like 100,000 views over on Instagram. And then you come over to YouTube Shorts. Let's say you get like, 30,000 views over there. And then you have like the long form video and you get like 3 views on that because you're still trying to get people to click, right? So it's like when you go multi-platform like that, as long as you have the time to do it, then in that case, it just gives you a bigger opportunity to reach a lot more people with your content. Because yes, if you're uploading videos to YouTube, you're a YouTuber, but at the core of that, right? Because you're a YouTuber, like here, but like at the core of it, you're a content creator. So since you're a content creator, then by all means, if you have content that, is well suited for other platforms as well as YouTube, if you have the bandwidth for it, if you have the time to do it, then in that case, absolutely, just go ahead and, get it on the other platforms, because you might find that while you're trying to get everything rolling on YouTube, you're thriving on Instagram and you have brands reaching out to, to you there, and you're able to leverage that audience to let them know about your YouTube channel to help you, get the right audience over on YouTube and those sorts of things. So absolutely, consider, if you have the time to do it, consider, leveraging some of these other platforms as well. In fact, we talked before about TubeSpanner. I mentioned that when I put up this little thing, and I went through the whole thing about the notepad feature inside of TubeSpanner. But another thing that they have inside of TubeSpanner, if you are somebody that does like multi-platform stuff, is they also have a link in bio tool that it's a social bio tool. But basically what it is, it's where you can put the link in your description on like Instagram. You can put it, or not your Instagram, but your bio on Instagram, on TikTok, on anywhere. And if somebody clicks into that, then they can actually see like a video from you. They can see a button to subscribe to your YouTube channel. They can see links to like all the other places that you are active, those types of things. So then you can use that to kind of, connect everything that you do, and you can constantly be pushing people to that bio. So, when it comes to just multi-platform stuff, it's definitely something to consider. And, that's why, like in my case, right? Like, my main thing is talking about YouTube. So I've had this thing for a long time to where I'm like, it's going to be weird if I go over to TikTok and I start talking about YouTube. But I went over there and I started talking, about YouTube over there. And, some of those videos, I got, maybe 400 views, 500 views, something like that. But that's 400 or 500 people that was able to watch that content. And if they got some type of value out of it, then it was a good move for me to put that over there, right? So with some of the other ones that have gotten like thousands of views on them, like the ones that don't have me in them, there with those, I'm like, hey, let me just put these up here because they're not really what I want to put on my YouTube channel. So then, with those, people are actually responding to them better over there, which now is making me think like, okay, well, maybe I can just add a totally different type of value over there with, that type of content, and then keep my YouTube stuff focused here so that I'm still serving content creators and giving them other things that might not necessarily be the perfect fit for my YouTube channel. So definitely experiment. That's what I'm getting at. That's the short version. Sure, experiment with other platforms. That's the short version of what we're talking about. Next up, we've got Ace Trainer Moose. Ace Trainer Moose They do Pokemon gaming and anime content. The goal of the channel says I want to be a Pokemon gaming and anime resource. And the question is, are shorts still a good resource for driving traffic to a channel and to long form content? Absolutely. Driving traffic to a channel, people are still blowing up from YouTube Shorts, or getting a lot of views on YouTube Shorts, or creating, starting to get that momentum in YouTube Shorts. Absolutely. Some of that will go over to, some of that will transfer over into your long form content as well. But when it comes to your long form content, one thing that I recommend that you think about it, or that you consider, is leveraging shorts to drive people to your long form content is something that you can do. But the bigger win that you're going to have is if you make content that's appropriate for the short shelf, so that people that are in the YouTube short shelf that are trying to enjoy content in the short shelf, that you can give them stuff that they love there, and then they can subscribe to your channel, and then YouTube has it in their watch history. And then when they log on to watch on the home button, and they're in the mobile feed, or they're on a computer, and they're in the, the section where they would get presented long form content, then as long as they enjoyed some of your shorts, then YouTube is more likely to show them some of your long form content as well. So absolutely, shorts are definitely something that you can leverage. I'm going to be going a lot harder on shorts in 2023 as well, just because it's the way, right? Like all of this stuff, like it's funny, like for content creators like myself who's been doing this kind of stuff for a while, it's an interesting thing because you have like the way that you do things, and then you have the way that things are going, and like you have to evolve as all of these, as the platforms evolve. That's how you stay like relevant, for lack of a better way to say it. That's how you ensure that you're going to keep doing the thing, is to make sure that you're evolving with all of the platforms that you are putting content on as they evolve. Let's see here. Next up on the list here, we've got Far North Guy. Far North Guy does hunting, fishing, and outdoors content. The goal of the channel is to share my stories on living as a First Nation person. And the question is YouTube declining new hunting, bird/waterfowl content creators for YouTube partner program? I still see ads on a lot of hunting channels. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I wish I could give you an answer to that, but I have no idea the content that they are like limiting ads on and things like that based on the choices of the advertisers. I have no idea. Wish I could answer that for you though. Retro the Emperor, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing awesome. Still make me think of Roberto Blake. Like, I love your name, but the Emperor part always makes me think of Roberto Blake. So Troy Woods is our next channel here. Troy Woods does media content. The goal of the channel is to help the creative community. And the question is, do you have a video about your YouTube studio setup, or can you quickly go over it? Thank you so much. Absolutely. So I don't have a video on the setup. I've been getting asked that for a long time. I was going to do one, but I'm like, since I talk about it here a lot in the live streams, I don't, but let's talk about it real quick. So what do I got? So the cameras that I'm using, both of like this camera and this camera and this camera, these are all Sony A6500s. This camera and this camera have a 16mm Sigma 1.4 lens on them. This one here has a 35mm lens on it. That's where that close-up comes from. Then I have this camera over here, which is a Canon 90D with a 10 to 16mm lens, I believe is what that is over there. And then I have, we went down. Then I have this one right here, which is the gear cam, which basically just kind of shows the gear setup for when people ask this question. That one is a ZV, what's it called? A ZV-1, I think is the name of that one. But this setup here, this is a ATEM Mini Extreme. This allows you to have up to 8 HDMI inputs. So you can have up to 8 different cameras, or you could have like 7 cameras and one like laptop plugged into it, something like that. But it also allows you to record all of the cameras at the same time, which is pretty awesome, if you choose to. In addition to that, I'm also using this, which is a Rodecaster Pro. This is not the new one. This is the old one. But this is a Rodecaster Pro. This is what I use to process the audio on the fly, to add sound effects, that kind of stuff.
Thanks.
Right? So it allows me to be able to do that. And then this box that you're seeing right here, this is actually a little bit more zoomed in than it should be. But this box that you're seeing right here, this is what is allowing me to send this out to Instagram right now. So basically this box does vertical live streaming to the social platform. So what I can do here is I can do a vertical live stream to TikTok and Instagram. So this box is why I'm trying to get the 1,000 followers over on TikTok. So make sure you're following me on TikTok if you haven't yet. But basically with this box, it allows me to multicast vertically, right? And then when it comes to my regular live stream stuff, like what I have on the screen here, I use StreamYard to do the main stream itself. I have a YouTube chat here, and then I use a Google form. So those things right there do the trick. And then I have the Spotify open. So the music that you're hearing in the background, that is coming from the Creator Mix, which is free music for content creators. It's our music service. But basically it's streaming through Spotify right now. And then it's porting through the Rodecaster. And that's where you can hear that coming through. For the lights, all of my lights currently are all Godex lights. I have some aperture lights that I'm also really happy with, but just based on this current setup, I had to get some local lights and I needed to get them quickly, so I went ahead and got the Godex lights, but I'm super happy with all of them. So I have two key lights, or not key lights, but I have two backlights. One's right over here to hit me on this side. Another one's right back here to hit me over here. And then I have a big... It's probably a better way to do it. I have a big softbox light right here behind this, other monitor that I have. And this is where this is my key light. And then I have a fill light that you can't see right, it's actually in front of this camera, but the camera sees underneath it. But it's in front of this camera right here. And then that fills in this side of my face. So sometimes in my live streams, I will, I'll keep that one off, or in some of my content, or I'll turn it down super low. So it just adds a little bit more kind of depth, to my scene and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the setup. I'm trying to think of anything else that would be relevant or that would matter in terms of the setup. But yeah, I think that's it. So hopefully that helped. But another thing, this is a quick heads up with this box that I have with this ATEM, is it also has, if you're like, how's he switching the cameras like automatically? So this thing has a software that comes with it, and you can program that software to switch it. So I can say, like, I want this camera for this amount of time, this camera for this amount of time, this camera for this amount of time, this camera for this amount of time. And then by doing that, you just hit play, and then you put it on loop, and then it'll just switch through whatever sequence it is that you set it for. So it's a pretty cool device. But they also have smaller ones. So if you're like, I don't need 8 cameras, then they have smaller ones that don't record, just called an ATEM Mini. You can put 4 cameras in there. And then they have the ATEM Mini ISO. With the ISO, then it gives you 4 cameras plus the ability to record all 4 cameras at the same time. So let's see here. So Disclose Do Basani, I hope I'm saying that correctly, says, hey Nick, congratulations for always bringing great content to us. Send a hug to all of your subscribers here in Brazil. High five and fist bump to everyone that is watching this in Brazil, or that's even in Brazil. So nice to see you here in the chat today, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Do you know Camilo? Yeah, Camilo's a friend, if you're familiar with Camilo down there. So let's see here. So next up on the list, we've got Edwin Coins TV says, thank you for all the support and great videos. God bless and Merry Christmas. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you as well. And let's see here. Matt Gabre, thank you for being a member for 29 months. Says, if I don't get the chance to say it, thanks for another great year of YouTube education. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to those celebrating. Thank you for that, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you as well. Getting love in here today. Love it. So next up on our list here, we've got, let's see, Adventures with Time. Adventures with Time says they do watch content, reviews, collecting tips, strategies, and more. The goal of the channel is to educate new and experienced watch collectors. And the question is, any opinion on becoming an Amazon affiliate, more links to individual products versus Amazon influencer where you create your own storefront? You can do it all. So you can create your own storefront, send people there for that. When you are talking about individual products in your videos, then in that particular case, like, you can have your storefront that would be like all the watches that you like recommend. But when you're talking about a a specific watch, then in that case, you would use the influence or the Amazon affiliate for that particular thing. But within the watch space, you also have other watch outlets that also have affiliate programs as well. So if you go and look at like the popular watch channels, you'll see the main ones that they typically drive, traffic to, these watch outlets. So I would definitely look there, because I'm pretty sure, because I was doing some of this research with a friend of mine that was going to start a watch channel, and with their affiliate programs, they actually pay out a lot more than Amazon. The only place that you really win on Amazon is if somebody clicks on your link and they go there and they don't buy the thing that you're recommending, but they end up buying something else, then you still get a cut of that as long as it happens within that first 24 hours of clicking your link. So that's the real win with Amazon, because a lot of people are shopping on Amazon, obviously. So that one's the win when it comes to Amazon. But if you are trying to make the most possible money as an affiliate, I would experiment with Amazon, and I would experiment with some of the other watch outlets as well to see if you can find one that will actually give you a higher percentage for every sale that you make. Let's see here. And also one more thing, if you are a watch enthusiast and you are collecting watches and you do have your own arsenal, so to speak, of watches, or your own collection of watches, keep in mind that Amazon also has another thing where you can make review videos of all of the stuff that you have, and you can upload that to their website. And then if people watch one of your videos before they make the purchase, then in that case, you're going to get a commission as well. So some people are making tons of money with that particular thing by itself. So that's another thing that you can look into as well. And I think Walmart has something similar, but I don't think Walmart's selling nice watches, so that might not be the best fit for you. But other creators that are here, Walmart does have a similar program. And I mentioned that in one of my news segments, like probably about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, and I got links in that one. So you'll have to kind of explore that to find the links to that. But they have a similar program. So Ultra Instinct Josie says, they upload when they have time. The type of channel is they make Tekken guides for Josie, some music, and game playthroughs. The goal of the channel is to entertain people with my editing style and personality. And the question is, I have a channel that throughout a couple of blew up due to Tekken videos about Josie Rizal. The problem is that you can get burnt out with that one game, even though I like it. I want to branch out to other games, but nobody really cares since it's not Tekken. It kind of hurts since I put a lot of heart into editing and such, only to have it crushed under like 40 or so views. How can I have an audience that enjoys Tekken stuff as well as other games? So one of the things that you have to make sure that you are considering when it comes to making content anywhere is that when you are making something, you have to make sure that you are considering the people that you are reaching, and you have to make sure that you're remembering that you have the stuff that you like to make, and then that you're also making content for other people, right? So you have to kind of balance out like, hey, this is what I want to make, and then this is what people typically respond to. But one of the things that you can do is if you have crossed the subscriber threshold, which I'm sure you have now, in order to get the community feed, then in that particular case, you want to make sure that you are asking them a bunch of questions about other games that they play and track all of the feedback that you get. You can just do this in a free Google Sheet or something like that, but track all of the feedback that you get and start noticing. And you can do this really easy. So basically, you just put a list of games that you would also like to play, and then all you have to do is put those games in that spreadsheet. And then for every person that's like, hey, yeah, or every poll that you run, about these different games that you want to play, for all of the people that are selecting, the specific games, just start putting those numbers into that spreadsheet. And then in a real short amount of time, you're going to know like, hey, these are the games that the people, at least that are interacting with my community post, these are ones that they're also playing also. So because of that, these are the games that I want to play that have the crossover of they are the games that my audience also likes in addition to Tekken. So because of that, then I'm going to start, making some of those videos as well. So then you do a little bit of, front end work in order to make sure that the games that you are choosing are also games that, that the people that are watching your videos would also like to enjoy. But keep in mind, another thing you can do is if you're like, hey, I'm burnt out on this, I just want to go in a different direction, then by all means, like, you might have those 40 views right now, but as you start putting out more and more of that content and as people start responding to it better, then in that case, then, you will end up growing an audience for that game as well. So just make sure that you are keeping that in mind. Like if you have that direction that you want to go and you're just burnt out, you're like, you know what, I'm miserable doing this tech and stuff, then in that case, go ahead and start putting out some of that other content and just kind of build the audience for that. It just might take a little bit of time. After Movement says, just saying thank you for all the advice. My pleasure. Thank you for the super chat. I'm glad that you're enjoying the stream. Thank you for hanging out here today. Hope that you're getting some value out of all this. Next up on our list here, we've got going crazy in the kitchen. You got to get out of the kitchen. You got to get out of the kitchen. If you're going crazy in the kitchen, you got to get out of the kitchen. Unless it's like crazy in a good way. Then of course, stay in the kitchen. Stay in the kitchen. If you're going crazy in the kitchen, stay in the kitchen. Sorry. Okay, so they have a food vlog. I almost moved on from that. I almost just like skipped the question and went on. But they have a food vlog. The goal of the channel says, I love making videos and I learned so much from this. The question is, my subs don't seem to return. It's quite solid. They don't unsubscribe, but they don't come back. Maybe they plan, but forget about me. What can I do except making videos better? So just as a heads up, because you put stupid question, but asking it anyway, it's not a stupid question. All of this stuff is hard. All of it is, complicated. There's tons of nuance to all of this. There's not a stupid question that you can ask about YouTube. So don't even worry about that. But when it comes to people not returning, if you're getting nobody coming back, then in that case, you need to like look at what it is that you're doing, look at the value proposition of your channel, look at the content specifically that you're putting out, and make sure that there is some type of theme going on with your channel, and make sure that it's clear that that's the theme of your channel, right? So one way that you can do this is you can say like, hey, welcome to Going Crazy in the Kitchen, where we make, this type, or where we do this specific thing. Today we're talking about blah, 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 right? So then that way you're letting people know this is exactly what it is that you're getting from this channel, right? So that's your way of spreading awareness about your value proposition. But that would be number one. So make sure that everybody that is subscribing, they're aware that that's what's going on. Make sure that you have a theme and that you are putting out, content like in a way to where if somebody watches one video, that it would make sense for them to watch that other video. So for example, let's say that you are doing one of your content pillars is like recipes. Then in that particular case, if you have like a bunch of videos that you make that are recipes and people are subscribing to those at like the highest rate on your YouTube channel compared to everything else, then in that particular case, they want to see recipes. So because of that, you want to make sure that when you're putting your content strategy together, that you're putting out recipe videos on a regular basis in order to fill, the what it is that those people want. And then let's say you have another content pillar that you're experimenting with, and that particular pillar is where you're doing taste tests of a bunch of other food. Then in that particular case, if you find that people aren't responding as well to those, then in that case, you'd be like, okay, well, people are really responding well to the recipe content. So let me, just for the next like 30 days, maybe 90 days, let me just kind of double down on focusing more on the recipe content and see if I can get more people coming back, because they're not responding as well to this for whatever reason. Or if they're responding better to this one, same exact thing applies. Let me do more of these than these and see if I can get more people coming back because they're enjoying this content more, right? That's the idea. But when it comes to people coming back to your YouTube channel, one thing that everybody needs to, just make sure that you do understand, especially if you're new, is that when it comes to people coming back to your YouTube channel, there are some channels where people will come back and they'll watch, most of the videos that they put out. Those are usually some of the biggest channels on YouTube. But when it comes to, most channels, you're going to be getting pushed into a lot more new viewers. Like if your channel's growing and you're thriving on YouTube, that means that you're serving the people that want to keep coming back and watching your videos, but that means that you're also getting in front of a lot of new people that are also being introduced to you and your content, and that's how channels grow. So because of that, just make sure that you are not looking at you having more new viewers as a negative thing. Instead, look at it like, hey, I'm getting in front of more new people, which means I have more opportunities to grow the channel. And even though there's subscribers that aren't coming back, I'm going to start experimenting with maybe the content type, or maybe, maybe expressing my value proposition a little bit more, or maybe adding my schedule of, what videos I'm publishing when to my About Me page, or maybe my channel art, something like that. So I can try to do what I can do to inform people that I'm uploading the type of content that they like on my channel on a regular basis. But within that, you also have to make sure that you are keeping in mind that them not coming back to the channel might not necessarily be on them. Right? Because this is another elephant in the room that we always have to, consider. If you're putting out videos and people are subscribing to them, but then they're not coming back, you can't expect somebody to say, hey, I wonder what Going Crazy in the Kitchen has been up to. Let me go look at their channel, right? Some people will do that, but most people won't. So how it will work out in most cases is that the people that have subscribed to your YouTube channel and that have enjoyed the content, if YouTube shows your content to them on their homepage, or they recommend your content next to another video, then you have to get them to click on it, right? So the problem may or may not be that they're just not coming back to the channel. It could be that you're having a hard time getting some of those people to respond to your content again at the click level, just like getting them, back into the channel. So that's where just looking at the content that you're putting out, making sure that there's a theme comes in, and also just making sure that you are looking at like your click-through rate and all of that, so that you can just get a general idea of like, okay, when I'm publishing these videos, do I have, a lot of people coming from the subscription feed? If I don't have anybody come from the subscription feed, nobody's clicking there, then in that particular case, then the people that are already subscribed that use the subscription feed, for those people, if they're not responding, then that means I need to maybe work on how I'm packaging my videos more so that I can, get that response there, or the whole theme of the channel, as a whole. So you can make sure that all the content that you're putting out is relevant to them. So a bunch of different things to consider there, but the idea is that it's good to push into new viewers. You do want people coming back to the YouTube channel, but one of the steps there is to make sure that you are spreading awareness about what it is that you offer on the channel, and then also using your analytics to figure out how people are responding where. So with that, you might think to yourself, where could I find out how people are responding? So this is what your YouTube analytics are for. You can go into your YouTube analytics. You can look at your new viewers. You can look at the people that are subscribed to your YouTube channel. You can look at your traffic sources. You can look and see the people that are coming from subscription feeds. You can look and see the impressions that you're getting on the subscription feeds. You can look and see the people that are coming from your homepage, from the suggested videos, and so on. So use that information to get that idea. So Fun with the Sky says that I'm freezing. So I'm not sure if that's for everybody or if it's their internet connection. It could be mine. I'm not sure. But Fun with the Sky, one thing, if it's on your end and not mine, one thing that you can do is down in the bottom right-hand side of your video player, you're going to see like a little gear icon thing. With that gear icon, if you click on that, then you're going to have an option to change like the quality setting. So one thing that you might want to do if it is freezing a lot is you might want to click into that quality setting and actually lower the quality on your end, because your like your internet or your mobile data, depending on what you're watching this on, it could be the issue. But if you lower the resolution, then it might help it come through a little bit easier for you. So next up on the list, going crazy in the kitchen. My pleasure. And going crazy in the kitchen, keep in mind, you can ask this kind of stuff in our members only group as well. Just make sure you tag me when you do. And thanks for the feedback on the not freezing there as well. I appreciate it. So next up on our list, really quick.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Okay. Next up, we've got Naked Truth by Dr. Melanie. Dr. Melanie says they do natural health, beauty, and self-care content. The goal of the channel is to reach more people and help them improve their lives with natural health resources and self-care. This is what I love about YouTube, right? And about YouTubers and content creators. Just one thing really quick. Notice how the last nice handful of questions that we've had here, when they're filling out the goal of the channel thing, like people are like, hey, I want to help people. I want to help people change their lives. I want to help people improve their lives, things like that. It's one thing I absolutely love about YouTube and just the content creator community in general is there's so much good intention with content creators that it's crazy. So many people on the internet trying to add value to other people, just awesome. So if you're one of those people that are doing that, high five and fist bump to you, by the way. But anyway, the goal is to reach more people and help them improve their lives with natural health resources and self-care. The question is, companies periodically ask me to try their products or services in exchange for my professional feedback. Example, the cervical pillow, they find me on social media or my blog. If I voluntarily show my experience and or opinion, review on social media, or even upload to YouTube, do I need to say the product is sponsored? There's no written request by the manufacturer nor contract, but I'm featuring a product gifted to me. What is the criteria for sponsored videos? I'm new at this, thanks. Yes, absolutely. When you are given something, then in that case, you need to disclose it. So for example, right? Like this box that I have right here, this was given to me, this end stream. So the first stream that I did with this, I made sure to let everybody know it. Plus I'm telling you right now, but I made sure to let everybody know that end stream sent that to me. If I made a video about it, then in that case, I would definitely make sure that I mentioned it in the video. But because I already brought attention to that and now I'm just using it as, part of my tools, then in that particular case, I don't have to just keep mentioning it every single time that I, happen to show somebody that box, right? But when I, if I make a piece of content and I'm like, hey, here's my review of this thing, then I need to disclose that. And the reason for that is because that disclosure lets people know that the information that they're hearing could be biased in some way based on that relationship that you have with that company that gave you the thing. So for example, if you have, and you see this big time in like the camera, space and all that, if you watch that type of content, but like if you have a relationship with a company and they're sending you a bunch of products, especially if they're expensive, then a lot of content creators, for the sake of being able to get all that stuff, they'll just kind of shill for some of these companies where it's like, hey, yeah, like I'll keep saying your cameras are awesome. Just keep sending me cameras or keep sending me lenses, whatever. I'll just keep saying they're awesome all the time. And by doing that, they're getting, a bunch of free product, and they may or may not necessarily feel as pumped up about the stuff as they make it sound, right? So when they add those disclosures in there, then it lets everybody know that like, hey, this may or may not be biased based on their, their thing. But just as a heads up, and I'm going to drop this, excuse me, as long as I can find it quickly, I'm going to drop something in the chat here really quick, as long as I can find it. Give me 1 second here. But there are very specific FTC disclosures, and I think I have it right here. Boom, I do. So I'm going to drop this in the chat right here. So if you are still hanging out in the stream right now, this is sending you to an article or just some information from the FTC about requirements for social media influencers. I just dropped it in the chat there, but it's about requirements for social media influencers and, the things they need to disclose and all of that. If you look around that site a little bit, and this link itself might be the one that will show it. But if you look around that site a little bit, if you're watching this on Instagram, just a heads up, I just shared this link on YouTube. I don't have a way to drop it in the chat over on Instagram. So if you want that link, just jump over to my YouTube channel really quick. It's in the chat, there, so you don't have to spend long there. If you want to jump back over to Instagram, your call. But with that link, somewhere, if you just look around their website, they also have like a quick understanding like PDF that you can download that will just be like, if you're doing this, then this is yes. If you're doing this, then no, you don't need to disclose this. You need to disclose those types of things, just to kind of better guide you on exactly what to do there. Next up, we've got Crafty MC. They upload every other day. They do Minecraft content. The goal of the channel is to reach over 10 million shorts views and understand how some shorts gain over 100,000 views. The question, I've recently noticed that people are copying my videos, some from short sampling, some without. If I had a copyright strike on some of them, didn't terminate them though, so that they remove my content from their channels, do I just disable short sampling, and do I keep on copyright striking people who steal my videos? So for the short sampling, if you have the remix option checked, then you're giving them permission to sample your short. So what you want to do there, if you don't want people sampling your shorts, then all you have to do is go in and just uncheck that box. And when you uncheck that box, then it's going to just go ahead and remove those from the remix. Now, when it comes to, and it's going to take theirs away from public view as well. So there's one step. When it comes to people taking your content and it showing up in your copyright area in the back end of your YouTube channel, in that particular case, of course, you have the option to go ahead and issue the takedown like immediately, or you can set it to where they have the 7 days to, remove it on their side. So you can handle that either way it is that you want to do it. But if they're stealing your content, if it's 100% your content, it's all original stuff, then in that case, you do have the right to, protect your content. Also make sure, and I have a video about YouTube settings. I've got a few videos about YouTube settings. Another thing you got to make sure that you're thinking about when it comes to the upload process is you also need to make sure that you do have the right licensing selected, because some people will select the option to allow their content to be used with attribution through Creative Commons. So if you choose that, then you're also giving people permission to use it, and there's nothing that you can do there as long as they give you, the credit for it. So keep that in mind too. So next up, we've got Love Above All is the name of the channel. They do reaction type content. The goal of the channel is to gain subscribers and views. And the question is, how can I do news and reactions to show to faces without getting a YouTube strike? Reactions to show to faces. I don't 100% understand your question, but I'm going to try to get out of this what I can. So we've got, how can I do news and reactions without getting a YouTube strike? So if you're doing reactions, then you have to make sure that you are doing everything within, the compliance of fair use. So I'll go ahead and drop this in the chat as well, since we've already got that folder. So if you are trying to get up to speed on fair use, then you want to check out this. This is another one that is going to, just give you some insight on fair use. But when it comes to that, to make sure that you are 100% compliant, what I recommend that you do, because I'm not a lawyer, what I recommend that you do is I recommend that you do make a demonstration piece of content of exactly what it is that you're going to do, how you're going to be putting your reactions together and all of that. Reach out to a copyright attorney, either locally, or if you can't find one locally, reach out to one, on the internet. And ask them if they would be able to defend that as fair use. They're going to say yes or no. And then if they say no, then you can work with them to figure out how you need to do it in order to make sure that you're doing it in a way that you're protected. So that would be the approach that I recommend in that scenario. Next up, VS Speaks Royally. Hope that you are doing fantastic. Happy Saturday to you as well. Hope that you're starting your day off awesome. And hey, VS Speaks Royally, I hope that you have just an amazing day today. An amazing day today. So let's see here. So next up on our list here, we've got Game Life 44. They do mobile gaming reviews and montages. The goal of the channel is to get 1,000 subscribers and provide entertaining and informative mobile gaming content. The question is, how can I truly know if my video titles are really high ranking and effective? People will be clicking on them. So when it comes to your click-through rate, a lot of people think that like your click-through rate, that your thumbnails are the only thing that matter, but your click-through rate is actually impacted by the topic of your video, the thing that, the thing's actually about. But then it's impacted by your thumbnail and your title. Because one thing that you have to think about is when it comes to somebody choosing to watch your video, the only information they have, and this is something that if you really think about it, it makes a ton of sense when it comes to like, okay, how can I make thumbnails that people respond to? The only information that somebody has when it comes to deciding to watch your video or not is your thumbnail and title. That's all they got. So what you need to do with every upload that you have is you need to write your title. And when you're writing your title, and you should do all this before you write the video as long as your content type supports it. But when you're writing your title, what you should think about is, okay, what about this would compel somebody to click on it? Why would this help somebody identify this is something they care about? Why would this title generate some type of curiosity about what might be behind this, behind this title and thumbnail? When it comes to your thumbnail, same exact thing. How is this thumbnail going to help people identify that it's this type of content that they're interested in? What can I do to this particular thumbnail to not only help them identify it, but also add something compelling or something that might create a curiosity gap to where they're like, oh, hey, I want to see what that thing is that they're pointing to right there. Like, what is that? Like, how is that thing going to impact me, right? Or why does that thing matter, or whatever the thing is? So what you want to make sure that you're always thinking about is, like, with your thumbnail and title, they work together as a team to win the click, right? Sometimes just the thumbnail will do it. Sometimes just the title will do it. But even still, they work together to win the click because the thumbnail will grab the attention and the title will be the thing that will, pull them through, or the thumbnail by itself will pull them through. But what you got to think about is you got to start defining it. So when you're thinking of like, okay, here's this little box, and within this little box, all I have is this image and these words that I can put on this. How can I use these in the best way possible to help people identify my content is something that they care about, something that they're interested in, and how can I make this as compelling as possible for those people? Focus on those two things and you'll start improving your click-through rate. But if you're like, hey, I'm just going to put this thumbnail out and I'm just going to put all these words on it and I'm going to try to, just kind of fill it out with all these, images and put little subscribe buttons on them and all this other stuff, then you're kind of breaking that whole thing. So start with simplicity and then build up to it from there. And by simplicity, I mean start with just like single images, maybe single images with like arrows and circles and things like that on them. Maybe a single image with like, you in there. So it's like, hey, here's me. And then me pointing to this, thing that will help people identify that it's something they care about. For example, let's say that, here we go. This is a horrible example, but I'm going to give it anyway. So let's say that I was making a thumbnail, just to put this in practice. Let's say that I was making a thumbnail and I was trying to bring attention to this, right? Typically I'll do this with like a device, but I'm like, hey, let's just grab this because there's no branding on it or anything. This is like as basic as it gets. So if I were to make a video, and this is part of the packaging and some of the stuff that you have to think about when it comes to your thumbnail and title and just the topic of your video in general and how you're actually trying to get attention to that video, is if I were to make a video on this and I was talking about how this thing helped me set up my live streaming setup, I could make a video, I'm spitballing this, as I'm saying it, so we're going to see, how this goes. But basically, if I make a video, or if I have the option, if I'm trying to bring attention to this thing, then in that particular case, I could make a video to where I'm like, hey, here's some like, studio setup tips. And then within that, I could, focus on this particular thing. Or if it was like a thing on like cable management or something like that, because what this actually is it's an HDMI, like, corner bend thing. So you can like plug it in and it kind of gives you some room there for the HDMI, so for tight spaces and stuff like that. So then in that case, what I could do is I could make a thumbnail to where I'm like, hey, it's like me in there in the thumbnail. Let's say that it's a like studio setup thing. We'll say it's like about cable management. Let's do that. So the whole thing is about cable management, and you're like, okay, I'm going to make the whole video. I'm going to frame it to where the title itself is going to be, this tiny thing helped me clean up my studio or something like that. And then within that, if you focus it on this, then in that particular case, oh, come on, where are we at? There we go. But if you focused it on this and nobody knows what that is, then in that case, it's like, okay, well, maybe this would grab somebody's attention if they happen to notice that it was something like HDMI related. So because of that, maybe I would focus on this, but maybe I would make this like huge in the thumbnail. So it's like right over here, right? Let me get my face out of here so it doesn't focus on me. There we go. So let's say that this was like huge in the thumbnail, and then it has like you in there and you're kind of pointing to it, but you would also have something else in there that would help them identify that it was something, related to, in this case, let's say it was like live streaming or something like that, that would help them identify that it was, related to something that they care about. So you would have that option. Or in that particular case, since we're thinking of thumbnails and like, why would somebody click on that? You might want to think about it from the angle of like, okay, if nobody's going to know what this thing is, even if I framed it around like this one little thing helped me, change my entire studio setup or something like that for your title, then in that particular case, if I were to focus on this thing, I would at least need to make sure that I focused on it in a way that would at least help people identify that it was like an HDMI thing, right? So then maybe I can catch their attention there. But if not, then maybe I would need to use like a completely different set of imagery. Like let's say, for example, messy wires, right? In that particular case. And then that's how I help them identify like, hey, that's just a mess of wires. My place is a mess with wires. And this whole thing is about, the things that they did. Maybe it's a before and after picture. Messy wires over here, clean wires over here. But if you're trying to bring attention to this, maybe you don't even put it in there in that case because you're using the thumbnail to actually grab their attention about things that would matter to them. So then they see the messy wires on this side of your thumbnail, the clean wires and the after shot on this side of the thumbnail. And then once they click into it, then in that case, that's where, because you use that to help them identify the problem that you're solving. And then when they're in that video, then that's where maybe you would mention something like this to bring attention to it. So you have those types of options. Now it's easier with like tech things. Like for example, if I was like, the example that I usually give is like the A10 Mini. And with that example, typically what I'll say is like, okay, if you make, like when you have like an A10 Mini, which I showed those of you, this is the A10 Mini thing that I'm talking about, by the way. Come on, camera. Huh, interesting. But anyway, with this, like if I was doing a video about that and trying to bring attention to that, then one of the things that I might do is I would start at the topic itself. So I'd be like, okay, am I trying to sell this thing or am I trying to just bring attention to it? If I'm trying to sell it, then I'm going to do a review video because the viewer intent would be higher at that point in time of actually making a purchase. So then I'm going to make a review video. So then if I'm making a review video, then I'm trying to catch people in the buying process that might be interested in that. So because of that, I'm going to just do a review of the thing. And that's where the topic would impact it. And then there, I would just showcase the device itself in the thumbnail, and I might share about that it's a review of the A10 Mini or whatever, and I would probably try to send that one or try to get that video to show up in search if I could make a video that was good enough. And then from there, another thing that you could do if you're trying to bring attention to that same device is you could say, okay, now that I've made that review video, that's done. I've got that video targeted towards search so I can get some affiliate money off of that. Now I need to come up with a thumbnail and title and just a video idea for a way to also target like the homepage. So then the next thing, the next step on that, and for those of you that hang out here all the time, you've heard this example before, but the next way that you would frame that is you would say, okay, this device, and you would just, you'd put, let's pretend this is the device. You would put that device, kind of front and center in the thumbnail, and the whole thing would be packaged around like this device changed the way that I live stream. And then that way, what you've done is you're focusing on the device itself, but then you've also opened up the audience of that video. Your title's super compelling. Your thing shows that it's a piece of tech. Technically, depending on the shot that you got, you might even be able to demonstrate that it was attached, to live streaming in some way. But basically, you have the tech imagery that would, grab the attention of live streamers and people that are into tech in general. But then the title itself, this changed the way that I live stream. Now you have your review video that you're capturing people from YouTube search from to where you're actually selling the thing as an affiliate. And then you have the other video that is more targeted towards the recommendations, where you've opened it up, the audience in general. For the review video, you have to know what the A10 Mini is, but for the video of this device changed the way that I live stream, now you just have to be a live streamer to watch it. So when it comes to the whole thing I'm trying to express here is when it comes to, getting people to click on your stuff more and making highly effective thumbnails and titles, you have to think about first, what is it that you're trying to do? Where is it that you're trying to get the attention from in terms of like search or, recommendations? And then make the appropriate video for what it is that you're trying to do there. And then start thinking like, okay, for the people that are, at this part of the process for whatever video it is that I'm putting together, what is it that I can do here to grab their attention and then compel them to actually click on it through the different framing that I just demonstrated. Hopefully that makes sense. Because I know I kind of went all over the place on that one, but hopefully that made sense. Sick Shop. Wrong one. Sick Shop says, how do you handle videos that get restricted by YouTube due to the content being on social ideas? Most of the videos addressed reviews and social issues. So if your videos get restricted by YouTube and you do go into that, restricted mode on your channel and you see that they have been hidden, then in that case, you need to start framing them differently. But keep in mind, even if you frame them differently from the outside and all the metadata and all that, they're still reading, what you're actually saying in the videos themselves. So the real way would be, of course, if they're being restricted, to just understand that restricted mode doesn't mean that nobody's seeing it. It just means that the audiences that are seeing it need to be like logged into YouTube. They need to be of certain ages, things like that. But if somebody's just browsing on YouTube, they're not logged in, or they're like, a kid, they're under 13 or something, then in that case, in the restricted mode, those are the people that aren't going to see it. So if you're just being restricted in terms of like who's seeing it, it's really not that big of a deal, because those types of ideas, like you'd need to be an adult to even understand a lot. I mean, kids are pretty smart these days, so I'm not going to throw shade on them. So I'm not even going to say what I was getting ready to say because it's actually not true. But actually, there's a lot of kids these days that are actually kind of outthinking adults with a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. But anyway, when it comes to those social ideas and them restricting it, just keep in mind that you just have to think of that it doesn't mean that they're not showing it to people. It's just they're limiting the people that they're showing it to because of the subject matter that's in them. But in terms of like, getting them not restricted, then in that case, it's going to come down to like not talking about those things or coming up with clever ways to talk about things that the people that are into those conversations would be able to reference. Right, that might be the approach there. Travis MCP in the house, MVP in our world. What's up, my man? Hope that you're doing fantastic. He says, "Kids be dumb," but a quote there by me. No, not at all. Like, man, I actually did a video. So I have another channel. Like some of you guys might not know this, but I have another channel called All Our Questions that I haven't uploaded to it in like 7 years now, I think. But basically on that channel, there's one video that I made. I think it was about Halloween, maybe. And on that video, I mentioned how kids used to be dumber than adults, or how adults used to be smarter than kids, I think is how I framed it there. But I got some funny feedback on that when that video was first published. So I'm just saying that because of his comment right here that he just left about kids be dumb. But yeah, I was like, yeah, adults used to be smarter than kids, but all that's changing now. So next up, we've got Freaking Awesome. Says, thank you, Nimmin, for your kindness, hard work, and patience. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the kind words. Super appreciate it. Thank you for always hanging out here. I think there's only been like very few streams recently that I haven't seen you in here. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being, a part of all this. I appreciate it. Next up, we've got Heroes TV Japan. Says, I do K-pop cutout videos, have over 25,000 subscribers and over 100 million views. Suddenly got stopped, suddenly turned off monetization and can't get it back. I can't tell which video is no good, so I can fix it. What should I do? So if you have your monetization completely shut off, you should have actually gotten an email letting you know like why, letting you know like the videos that were infringing it on there. So you might want to just, submit an appeal there. I would definitely reach out also to Team YouTube on Twitter and see if they can lead you in the right direction. And if you hop on Google and you type in YouTube community forums, then one of the things that you're going to find there is it's also a place where you can, be professional, right? Just be professional. Don't accuse YouTube of anything like that. Just be cordial and be like, hey, my channel lost monetization. This is the type of content that I make. I need to appeal this or like whatever. I think it was incorrectly demonetized, and see if you can get any type of help there. And really, those are like the only real outlets that you have for that kind of stuff. Let's see here. So next up, let me scroll down here. Okay. As we keep on going through the list here, did we do Game Life 44 yet? Yeah, we did that one. We actually went down a big rabbit hole on that one. So we got Brian Titles is our next channel here. Brian Titles says they do tiling tools and tips. The goal of the channel is to eventually educate DIYers wanting their to tile their own projects. That's funny. I was actually talking to my brother D today about tiling, which is kind of funny. But anyway, the question is, when being gifted a product to review or try on your channel, do you have to disclose this even if there's no financial incentive from the company? Yes, you do have to disclose it. No. And the second part of that question was, will this affect the video's reach? No, it does not. So if a video is sponsored or not, doesn't matter. What matters is how the viewers of YouTube are interacting with that content, and if they're enjoying it or not. That's what matters. At the core of all this stuff, like if you break YouTube down, just for everybody that's hanging out here, if you break everything down into a nutshell, it really comes down to, if you can make videos that people enjoy and you can get them to click on them, or in the shorts, if you can just make videos that people enjoy, then like you'll do fine. But the problem is learning that process, right? Like learning how to do that. And then once you do start doing that, kind of amplifying things or ramping things up by, kind of fine tuning everything it is that you're doing, so that you can like really maximize, that growth. But if you break it all down into a nutshell, it's making videos that people enjoy. Like that's it. Like learn how to make videos people enjoy, learn how to get them to click on it, and you'll do awesome here on YouTube long term. So next one, we've got Honey and Me is our next channel here. They do RVing content. On their RVing content, the goal of the channel is to share RV tips, tricks, and trips. And the question is, how do you hook a video if it's a vlog style one? Let people know that you are taking them on a journey. Let them know what you're trying to accomplish. Let them know what it is that you're getting ready to take them through. Now, of course, you can do that at the beginning of the video if you know, like, hey, we're getting ready to do this trip, and this is what it is that we're going to be highlighting. This is what we're going to, put together for the video. Then in that case, you can do it at the beginning, like before you start recording anything. However, if you're like, hey, we don't know how the day is going to go, then in that particular case, try the best that you can to create some type of structure around the content and do the best that you can to kind of keep one storyline going, within the content that somebody can follow. And then for the intro or the hook of it, just record it at the end. So then once you know the content, you know what you did for the day and all that stuff, make sure you're still wearing the same clothes and all that. I mean, really, that doesn't even matter. Like you don't even have to do that. But just when the video starts and you already know all the information that, you're going to be giving them in the video, then just, do that hook when when you first start the video. So really quick, Renee Ritchie, who again, for those of you that might have just joined the chat, he works at YouTube. And one of the things that he mentioned here is that recommendations have no knowledge of monetization or sponsored content box being checked or not. So basically what that means is if you are not monetized, or if you have that box checked where you say includes a promotion, then in that particular case, YouTube itself doesn't consider that for recommending your content to people. It all comes down to how people respond to what it is that you're doing. Next up on our list here, Honey and Me, my pleasure. We've got Country Coder.
If you're enjoying the show, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend right now.
Country Coder travels to adventures, motorcycle trips, and classic car shows as the type of channel. The goal of the channel is to bring my audience along with adventures I'm going on, whether it's to a historical neat location, to an awesome motorcycle ride, or to a classic car show. And the question is, this is a two-part but related question. In simple terms, can you explain the difference in tags and hashtags? What is the difference in placing hashtags in the description of a video versus in the title? Okay, so when it comes to tags and hashtags, look at tags like they are old school keywords. So basically what you would do is when you put a video up, you would put relevant tags in that box. And I recommend that you still do it until they take that box away. Once they remove that box, then of course stop using it at that time. But as long as that box is there, it is still considered for something. So because of that, make sure that you do still use it, but don't spend tons of time on it, because like the tags that you use are not what makes your videos do well. The way that people respond to your videos is what makes your videos do well. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. When it comes to hashtags, they're different, because with the hashtag, when you put the pound sign in front of it, or the hashtag, for you younger people, the hashtag, for us older people, the pound sign, right? When you put that pound sign in front of it, the hashtag actually becomes a clickable link. So when it becomes a clickable link, then that means that people can click on that and then they can go to a hashtag results page, which is cool because if your videos end up showing up there because people are responding well to them for that particular hashtag, then in that particular case, if there's a lot of other videos that are also driving a lot of viewers to that particular hashtag, then you can use it as a discovery mechanism as just one more place that YouTube viewers can find your content. Excuse me. So because of that, when you're using your hashtags, and this is something we run into in our members group, like when we're going in there and we're looking at channels, like one thing that we commonly find on most of the channels that we look at is that they're just putting a bunch of hashtags in, but they're not actually looking at the results of those hashtags. So for those of you that are using hashtags in your videos, if you want to kind of maximize your potential reach there, then in that case, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're researching the hashtags that you're going to use. And the reason for that is because you might write out a bunch of hashtags that seem like this is the stuff that, you know, is relevant to my video. But if you're using the hashtags, you also want to consider that people can use those as a doorway to come into your content. So if you want to take the most advantage of that particular feature, then you want to make sure that you're using the hashtags that will be relevant to the content that you're making. And all you have to do is you take that hashtag, you put it into YouTube search, and then when you put it into YouTube search, it's going to have like a little, you know, like little box that's going to show you over on this side. Then you click into it. It's going to be at the very top of the search results. That's the thing you're going to click into. And then once you click into that, it's going to show you a bunch of other videos that are also using that hashtag. Now, just like every other place on YouTube, the videos that are prominent there are the videos that people are responding to, you know, within those hashtags. Or if it's just like some weird hashtag that nobody's using, then of course, you know, then it would show, you know, whatever videos happen to be using it. But the idea there is to look at it and say, okay, topically, what are the videos that are showing up here? So if somebody were to click on the hashtag on this video that, you know, these 4 videos that are right here at the top of the page, if they were to click on the hashtag from those videos and come into this page, would my video be relevant to those viewers? If the answer is yes, then go ahead and use that hashtag. If the answer is like, probably not, because these are all like kitchen videos, but I'm making like a video about closets, then in that case, you know, you would not want to use that hashtag. So, so that's the difference between the two, is one of them is a clickable link. The other ones are just more like keywords and that have been kind of depreciated and they're not as important now on YouTube. In fact, YouTube actually recommends that you mainly use those for like misspellings and things like that. I still use them the old fashioned way in terms of I use TubeBuddy as part of my workflow. I use TubeBuddy and I go to the, like when I'm filling out my videos, I'm like, okay, is this particular hashtag relevant to this video? Yes. Okay, I hit the plus button and then it adds it. The entire process of adding tags for me, because I use TubeBuddy for it, and I've got a link to TubeBuddy in the description, or you can just go to tubebuddy.com, whatever. But basically, with that, what it does is it just shows me this grouping of hashtags, and I'm just like, is this relevant? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And it takes me literally maybe like 10 or 15 seconds to be like, yes, 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 no, 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 and just click the right ones that are relevant to the video, and then I just get them in there. Like, that's it. So, so when it comes to tags, don't spend that much time on them. Just think, is this relevant to my video? Yes or no. When it comes to hashtags, do the research on those, because those are, you know, where you can actually have people coming into your videos from those hashtag results. So because of that, it's more of a, you know, it's more of a value feature for you, you know, as a creator. And then it also helps other, you know, viewers find more of, you know, the content that they're interested in as well. Let's see here. And I think that was, yeah. Okay. So we got that one wrapped up. Shark Scrapper says, Miss Shark is listening and lost count of how many times you said hashtag. Yeah, I know, right? I felt that as I was saying it. I'm like, you know, hashtag, hashtag, hashtag. But yeah, let's talk about hash browns. Gonna make me hungry here if we start talking about hash browns. So the next channel is Nightlights Movies. Nightlights Movies, they do daily content. The type of channel is they do shorts videos about interesting facts related to movies. Super cool. The goal of the channel is to educate people on factoids about movies and have fun and hopefully eventually make money while doing it. Really quick, I got a side tip for you. So I haven't read your question yet, but when it comes to like the type of content that you make, there's a subreddit called Movie Details for your type of content. If you're not already on Reddit and you're not already over there, make sure you check that out, because there's so much good content for you over there in terms of like stuff that like really obscure things that people uncover from videos that might be like great, like core subject matter for what it is that you're making. So make sure that you are over there and you're checking that out if you haven't yet. But anyway, question is, do you have an educated guess as to what YouTube monetization might pay once rolled out for shorts per 1,000 views for a primary English-speaking audience? I do not. Yeah, I don't have the answer to that one. And when it comes to CPMs on everything, it all depends on like the ad inventory for those. It depends on like who's watching the content, things like that. So some of what it is that they're going to be doing, to my understanding, and of course this could change. And I mean, what I'm getting ready to say could also now be inaccurate, like as we're getting closer to that, because I know, I'm sure they're going to be changing some stuff. But I know one of the things that were mentioned in the past, as long as this is still relevant, is they were talking about basically they are going to collect all the money from the ads, and then they're going to pay the music companies for any of the music that was used, within those ads. And then from there, that's when they start divvying it up amongst the creators based on, the shorts views that you got, or the advertising, the monetized short views that you got. That's where all that starts getting broken down. But that's all that I know, though. Like in terms of like the specific details of it, I don't know yet, because that information hasn't been put out there yet. Next up on our list, T's Hot Mess History. Hope that you're doing fantastic. Welcome to the stream today. Monique, nice to see you in here as well. Happy Urdu Nursery is our next one here. They have a kids channel. The goal of the channel is to make kid-friendly content for Urdu-speaking children. The question is the strategy to grow on YouTube different for a kids channel than for a regular channel? If so, what are some key points to focus on for a kids channel? So I'm going to be upfront with you here. As soon as Kappa came into play with YouTube, I haven't like messed with any kids related, content or anything like that. So because of that, I'm out of the loop now on kids content on YouTube. So in the past, I was more, kind of interested in that. But when it comes to like now, like once Kappa came in and all of that, I just kind of disconnected from it, just because I knew it was just kind of going to be its own thing. So like I haven't worked with anybody that does kids content or anything like that since then. So that's something that I wish I could help you with, but unfortunately I can't. So next up, we've got Your Virtuoso is our next channel here, and they do gaming and gaming emulation. The goal of the channel is to share the games that I like, but also what can be played through emulation. And the question is, hey Nick, what's going on? Hope you're doing awesome. In the last 3 months, I went from uploads to live streaming a soccer game, and went from 67 to almost 2,000 subscribers, but I was rejected for monetization because of reused content. It was my own gameplay, and I'm not sure what I'm missing. What can I do to get monetized? This is one of those ones where I would definitely reach out to Team YouTube. I would go and I would reapply if you have the option. I would make sure that you're making posts in the YouTube community forum and trying to get the help there. Because if it's all original content and you have your own voice in there, you're doing your own gameplays, things like that, then in that case, I would definitely be trying to take every avenue that I possibly could to get monetization on that. If they won't, then in that case, one thing that you might want to consider is, if you're not on camera now, going on camera for a nice handful of videos, like let's say like your next like 20 or 30 videos or something, and then resubmitting from there once you have that option pop back up. So then that way, at least you have, the original part of you that you're adding. I mean, you're already doing it with your voice and your gameplay, but they might just be turning that down just because of all of the Minecraft content that's out there and all of that. And if it's not clearly separate, then that might be why they're, giving you that hard time there on the reused content side. But if you are, if you are commentating on it and if you happen to be on camera, then that should be original enough to get you in. But I would definitely make sure that you are commentating on it. Like Doug Houston just said right here, commentary would be a must. So make sure that you are doing that if you're not already, because if you're just playing it but nothing else is happening, then I could definitely see how they could, because you could literally take that from anywhere and just upload it to any YouTube channel. So just make sure that you are adding, your own stuff to the content as well. But if they don't let you in still and you're doing commentary, then I would try hopping on video for a nice handful of videos and resubmit and see if that makes a difference. If not, then I would, if you're trying to do it for money, then I would, probably, explore something else that would be, a little bit easier to monetize. Next, we've got, let's see here. So they don't have the channel name, but they put the link up there. But it's an entertainment channel. The goal of the channel is sharing the history of hauntings of some of America's most haunted places. The question is, hey, Nick, thanks for all the great info. Our other social media targets an audience of mature women. Since my team is all older women, we assumed and target the same audience on YouTube, but our audience on YouTube is mostly younger men, and I'm not sure how to pivot from an audience I'm not familiar with. Tools and tips. So this is where, like with entertainment content, like people are going to be watching it that are going to be watching it. But some little details that you can do is, I mean, it's okay, first off, just if you do, have that, audience, but it does kind of suck if you're going after something else. But one thing that you can do is with some of it, you could, kind of call it out that it's, for, older women and things like that. I call these like audience identifiers. It's where you literally call out the people that you're trying to reach in your title and or your thumbnail. But the idea is, since you are trying to get like mature women, is just thinking of how you can frame what it is that you're doing and target it towards them through your packaging. So then in that case, if it's like, it's going to be tough though, because you're sharing the history and hauntings of America's most haunted places, which is interesting to a lot of people. So with that one, I think the only thing that would really kind of knock that one out of the park for you would be to only focus on places that would be interesting to mature women. But even with that, that's still hard because it's kind of hard to define, like, okay, why would this haunted place only matter to mature women, right? So because of that, I think that you're kind of in like a weird spot. So if the audience identifier thing wouldn't work for you, which I don't think that it will because of the type of content that you're making, then in that case, you might just want to embrace the audience that you currently have, but use references within that content that only like maybe like a certain, like if you're doing mature women, if by mature women you mean older women, then in that case, any references that you might make in the video, you might want to cater those to that audience that you're trying to grow. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say that you are, if you're showing something in a haunted house, let's say you go in and you notice a painting on the wall or something like that. And that painting on the wall is something that maybe like an older demographic person might relate to, then spending a lot of time kind of focusing on that, maybe talking a little bit about that painting and, that type of thing. Maybe the music you use in your videos, it's more in alignment with music that, that older people would, respond to, or mature people would respond to or listen to, compared to putting like, trap music in your videos, which you're probably not doing anyway, but you get the idea. But basically just catering the details of the video towards that audience, so that as those people are interacting with the content, they'll appreciate those things, they'll subscribe because of them, that kind of stuff. So then over time, you'll be able to grow that audience. But right now, you're still going to have people coming in that just enjoy haunted houses and those types of things. But just making those making those nuanced connections with that, older crowd would definitely be the path that I would try to walk there. Let's see here. Manshed says, I came in on mature women. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the stream. Yeah, we never know how this thing's going to go when we start, right? So next up, we've got Mortal Copy. And hey, just for those of you that are joining the stream, we're talking about YouTube related stuff. Everything that we're talking about here, it's questions that content creators are asking. I got a form down in the description where you can put your question. We've got a pretty heavy queue right now, but if you get your question down there, there's a chance that it might get answered on the stream today. But if not, I still collect all these questions, just as a heads up. I still collect all these questions. And if they don't get answered on the stream, then you might see them pop up in another piece of content, be it a podcast later, be it, a video that I make, or, something like that. So, just keep in mind, if I don't answer it here, then I might answer it, elsewhere. But Moral Copy says they do gaming content. The goal of the channel is to just get 1,000 subscribers. And the question is, if I add a subscribe to my channel at the end of my shorts, will it help make a person subscribe, or will it distract a potential subscriber? So one of the things that you want to make sure that you are considering is, if people are really engaged in your content, if your strategy with your video is to get people to loop, then of course that would create that interruption to the loop. But if that's not the thing, just a quick follow for more, or did you hear that? I'm like, follow for more, or subscribe for more, or something like that, might be the approach there. If you're going to be, repurposing it to other platforms as well, for the vertical content, since you mentioned that it's shorts, then in that case, making an ending that would apply for the other platforms as well. So you can also get them up there, follow for more for the other platforms, and then adding the subscribe for more, like this on your YouTube channel could definitely, be effective, because the whole idea with the subscribe call to action and making it quick is that it's just a nudge, right? Like, you don't have to cram it down people's throats, so to speak. It's just like, hey, this is, just a quick reminder that if you want more content like this, before you scroll, make sure you subscribe, right? If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe. And by the way, anybody hanging out here, if you are not subscribed to this and you're enjoying this content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're watching this on Instagram and you're enjoying this, make sure you head over to my YouTube channel and subscribe, or follow me on Instagram. Next up, we've got Nodding Hook Crochet. Nodding Hook Crochet does crocheting content. The goal of the channel is to share my hobby of crochet. And the question is, happy holidays. Regarding channel memberships, is it allowed to offer a crochet pattern or chart via a link to members only? Yes. Absolutely. You can absolutely do that. So like when you have channel members, then you can make like, members only posts on your account. And one thing I'm always weird about is just like linking off site, but in that case, it's more of like a closed type of thing. So if you do have the option to where you can be like, hey, like if you can put the actual image there that people can download right in the post where they don't have to, leave the site to get it, that's always a win. But if you do need them to, leave to get it, then in that case, you can do something kind of like what I do, which is have like another asset that if they become a member, that they also become a member of something else if they choose to. And that's where you give away all that stuff. So like, for example, like in mine, like I've got like subscribe graphics that I give all kinds of, cool stuff that I've given away in there that it's just more appropriate to just load it up into the Facebook group compared to people having to go and find it, in the community feed as an example. It's just more organized that way. Doyen Talk Financial Freedom. Dion Talk Financial Freedom says, thank you for getting me to 12,000. You rock. You rock. High five and fist bump to you for getting to 12,000. Nice work. Congratulations. Congratulations on that. Doug, I see your message here. I'm going to go over to here and see if I can find that. Yeah, 12,000 subscribers. That's awesome. Since you're at 12,000 subscribers, like think about like the people, like if you were to just like open your door of your place right now and there's like 12,000 people standing outside, like that's a ton of people, right? Or because, in order to get that 12,000 subscribers, you've gotten a lot of views to get you there. So like, if you look at your view count, and you look outside, you open your front door and you have like all of those people that represent that number for the views that you have, like, it's a substantial amount of people. An intimidating amount of people. So let's see here. We got someone stole my, okay. So Spike Wade says, someone stole my video, the entire thing. Should I be copyright claiming it? I don't want to be a jerk, but I worked hard for the video. So in that case, one thing that I do is I will give them the 7-day notice. So unless they, like if they've uploaded like a bunch of my stuff, then I'll take them all down. Like I'll just send the thing to like take it down immediately. But if they just have like one video or something, like one thing that I consider is that, some people, they just don't know the rules. They come onto YouTube, they see other people taking other people's content, maybe reacting to it or whatever. And some people just don't know, right? And of course it's their responsibility to know and to, read the rules of the platform they're operating on and all that stuff. It's their responsibility. But I do consider that. So since I consider that, one of the things that I, make sure that I keep in mind is like, okay, if they're taking a bunch of my stuff, then in that case, I just don't like that they do that. So then I'll hit the instant. But if they just have like one video or something, then I'm like, okay, I'll give them that 7-day notice so that they can take it down. So, so it's just a little bit more kind to them. So if you're taking that approach, like you don't want to be a jerk about it, then in that case, if you want to copyright claim it, then you can give them that 7-day notice and then that puts it on them. And then if they take it down, then that's cool, not a big deal. But if they don't, then they're playing hardball, and then YouTube's going to end up taking it down on their behalf or on your behalf. So because of that, I would just consider those things. Let's see here, and then there was one more. I'm looking for the star here on this one. I think it was earlier. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, I don't see the second one. Let me refresh this here really quick. And in the meantime, Zach Tool 4.
Welcome to the Nimminati.
Welcome to the Nimminati. Make sure when you get the chance, you go to nimminvip.com. It's popping up on the screen here right now. That is our members only Facebook group. If you can fill out all the information before the stream's over, if you can go to that Facebook group, fill out all the information before the stream is over, then I can get you in there before or as soon as the stream is complete today. And by the way, if you are a channel member, and you are, okay, thanks, Doug. If you're a channel member and you are not in the Facebook group, make sure that you go over there. Make sure that you go to that same nimminvip.com and, make sure that you get in there. Because I know that there's, a lot of people in here that aren't even over there. So, if you want, some of those graphics and stuff that I was talking about before, if you want to be in the live streams, if you just want to, be in the cool community, because basically like people are interacting over there. They're asking questions about stuff, and then other people in the community are going in to answer them. If there's something that's specific that, I need to answer, then people are tagging me, and then I go and answer stuff like that. So if that's something that you're interested in and you're a channel member, make sure that make sure that you don't miss out on that part of the channel membership. Let's see here. So next up on the list, okay, so I've got them taken care of, so we're good there. Okay, Knotting Hook Crochet, we got that taken care of. Next up, we've got Bartek Zizik TV. Says they do educational content. The goal of the channel is to grow their business. And the question is, how often during the day can I post shorts and long form content? Is it true that YouTube promotes only one video at a time? Does new published video cannibalizes previous videos? So first off, when it comes to source speed, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. So when it comes to YouTube promoting one video at a time, so one thing to make sure that you always remember as a content creator is people have the idea that YouTube forces your content onto people. So it's like, hey, I published this video, now YouTube is just going to throw it at a bunch of people. It doesn't really work that way. So how it works is like when you publish your video, YouTube is looking at the people that are most likely to enjoy that content that happen to be on YouTube at that moment in time. So in a lot of cases, that's the people that have most recently interacted with your content, the people that are subscribed to your channel, or at least the people that are subscribed and interacting with your content, those types of people, which is why you typically see higher average view durations, higher click-through rates and all that stuff like right after you publish. So when it comes to them promoting your videos, that's the first thing you have to know is like, okay, they're looking for only the people that are going to be the most likely to enjoy that content. And that's who they're going to show it to. And then from there, if those people continue to enjoy the content and they show it to another group of people, if they enjoy it, then they show it to a bigger group of people and so on and so forth. And then that keeps going until the response gets less and less because the people are less primed for the content or a less good fit for that content. When it comes to content stepping on each other, it can. So when it comes to you publishing let's say a long form video and a short, keep in mind there that the long form videos are going to be shown in a different way and in different places on YouTube compared to the short. So because of that, there isn't as much, competition there. But if you were to publish, let's say 3 long form videos within the next hour, then what YouTube is going to have to do is they're going to have to prioritize, one of those videos to show to those ideal viewers. Now, based on the topic of those videos will be going out to different people. But some of those will be crossover. And with those crossovers, some of those are going to be the most interested people, on your channel and the people most likely to enjoy the content. And that's where the problem happens with content kind of stepping on each other a little bit. So if you are going to be uploading multiple videos a day, things like that, just make sure that you do space them out a little bit and things like that so that, you have different groups of people that are online at that moment in time that YouTube can show the content to. But another thing to make sure that you are thinking about is initial view velocity does kind of matter at first, but if you make content and people are responding to that content, you'll get views on those videos for a very long time. So I've got videos on my channel that still get views every day, that still generate subscribers every day, that still generate affiliate sales every day, that still generate ad revenue every day that I made 7 years ago. So because of that, it's important to make sure that you're thinking of YouTube as, yes, I want views. Yes, I want a lot of views on my videos. I want a lot of subscribers and all that, but you want to make sure that you are thinking long game. Okay, I'm building a library of content for a specific type of viewer that's interested in these specific things. So since I'm building that library, once somebody finds me, they can just start, cruising through all the other videos that you have. But as you're, first getting started, it's just kind of, the challenge that you might face is that I'm still trying to get people to respond to what it is that I'm doing. But once you get people to respond, you have that whole archive of content, and hopefully they're responding well to that too. But you have that whole archive of content that YouTube is going to start recommending to the people that are most engaged in your videos. So the video that you published today, this is the point I'm trying to get to. The video that you published today, even if they do compete with each other, if you do, upload a lot of videos to your channel, even if they do compete, just a little bit, with each other on home pages and stuff like that, one of the things that you have to remember is that, YouTube is a long thing. So, those videos, even though they might step on each other a little bit right now, if you're just focused on how do my videos typically do over 28, 60, and 90-day periods, then in that case, that gives you a much better view of your content and how people respond to your content over time, instead of only focusing on the first hour or the first day of how people respond to your content. Because and everybody here can vouch for this on those of you here that that are getting views on your videos. that you can publish a video today, and in some cases that video just tanks right out of the gate, but then you check back in on that video in like, 2 weeks or a month or, 3 months down the road, and you're like, whoa, I didn't even notice that video, it went from like being like one of my worst videos that I published, in that time period, number 10 on the list, when you publish it and they give you the ranking. So it went from number 10 on the list to now it's like, it's bringing in like a lot of views and a lot of, subscribers and ad revenue on a regular basis. Now that it's had that, now that it's had a cycle and YouTube understands, exactly who to show it to. So, so when it comes to, putting a lot of content out on the channel, you can, but just keep in mind, you might have a minor short-term impact, but the long game in terms of like, you have this archive that you're building that people can binge watch. That's where the real wins happen in that case. But just monitor it too. Like one thing that you'll notice, like on my case, I used to, and I don't see it anymore, but I used to be able to track like these live streams. So what I could track is I could go into my real-time views on some of my performing videos. And this all changed, I would say probably maybe about a year and a half ago. But basically I used to be able to screenshot and actually lay right on top of each other the real-time stats of my, like my videos that are bringing in a lot of my traffic and my live stream. And I could see that the second I went live, not the second, but within that first, group of time that I went live, that the performance on those videos went down. And it was because my theory on what happened is that YouTube prioritizes the live because it's a live stream. So then the people that would be likely to enjoy that video, maybe YouTube is showing them my live stream is kind of what I came up with for that. Don't know if that's exactly what was happening or not, but I could literally overlay the screenshots on each other. And you could see this is when the live stream started. This is when this video took the hit, live stream stopped. And then just like after a little bit of time, then you would see those videos get back to their normal pace. So really interesting thing, but that doesn't happen anymore, but it used to. So, in the past, things like that, things like that did happen. Roberto Blake in the house. What's up, my man? Says, are you using StreamYard to live stream to Instagram? Oh, by the way, Roberto Blake, create something awesome. If you guys don't have this yet, definitely make sure that you go and get this. It's available on Amazon. It's Roberto Blake's book, just in case you don't know that he put this out yet. But anyway, on Instagram, because StreamYard currently doesn't stream vertical. So what I'm using for this, Roberto, is, let me go here, is I have this box here from InStream. And this lets me, basically, I'm sending the signal out because they just did an update on this so that I can, well, not for me, but they did an update on it where you can now crop. So the last stream that I did, I had to set up a totally different camera for it and everything, and it was just like a static image. But now they did an update where you can crop in your video. So I just have the out of my my monitor here actually going into this InStream, and then I can crop it down so then everybody can see all the cameras changing and all that happen to be hanging out over on Instagram. But with this, it allows you to multicast to vertical platforms. So you can multicast to Instagram, TikTok, and to Facebook vertically as well through that device. Let's see here. So next up, we've got Elemental Air Edits. They upload when they have time. They're doing edits now is the type of channel. The goal of the channel is their first 1,000 subscribers and monetization. And the question is, how should we make titles for it to appeal to people? And hey, really quick. So Chantel just put a link to my TikTok here in the chat. So if you're not following me on TikTok, make sure that you do follow me over there. I'm trying to get to 1,000 people, but I'm also adding additional content over there that isn't just a clone of what it is that I'm doing here on YouTube. So you can also get some other things over there. They're going to help you out. So make sure that you follow me over on TikTok if you haven't yet. But the goal of this channel is their first 1,000 subscribers and monetization. And then the question is, how should we make titles for it to appeal to people? I went over this in depth, just I would say maybe like 20 minutes ago. So because of that, I would just, kind of watch that part of the stream. But in a nutshell, just make sure you're defining why your title would help somebody, be compelled to click on it, right? Say this title, I'm writing this title because I think that the people that would watch my type of video would be interested in this, right? And would be compelled by these particular words that I put here. Jerry says it warms my heart when Nick gives my videos a heart on TikTok. Yeah, I love your TikTok videos, by the way. Absolutely love them. But the next channel here is for Better Mind Journey. I almost went down like a whole thing there. I almost got completely derailed there for a second because I was about to just start talking about your YouTube channel and your TikTok account and all that stuff. But anyway, Better Mind Journey says they do daily content. They've been on YouTube for less than a year. The type of channel is well-being, inspiration, and tips. The goal of the channel is to help people find peace of mind and hopefully find a way to do this full-time without my 9-to-5 income. And the question is, so I've grown over 1,000 subscribers using shorts. They seem to do well for me, but now I'm stuck. How do I get my long-form content going again? So when it comes to shorts and long-form content, I actually have a video about this on my channel that you should check out when you get the chance. Oh, no worries, Jerry. But that you should check out when you get the chance. And it explains in detail like why people can do well in shorts, but then have a hard time with long-form content. But I'll just give you a kind of like a crash course version of it. So when it comes to this, one thing that that content creators have to face when it comes to short form content and long form content, or vertical shorts content and the short shelf, I should say, and the whole rest of YouTube, is when it comes to the short shelf, in order to get a view over there, somebody has to swipe up, right? That's it. They got to swipe up on what it is that from watching the other short that they were watching, and then it just lands in your content. So there, the only skill that you have to have when it comes to YouTube Shorts is being able to grab somebody's attention and pull them through your video, right? So if you're good at that, then you're going to perform well in YouTube Shorts. However, when it comes to the long form content, there comes a layer of complexity, because not only do you have to make good long form content and be able to keep people enjoying that content, but you also have to learn how to get people to click on it. So you have to learn how to get people to identify that it's content that they might be interested in. And then you also have to learn how to make it, a compelling package that would make somebody want to click on it to find out what's on the other side of it, or to where they can, at the very least, clearly see the value that they're going to get out of that video, right? So it's just a totally informational title and thumbnail. Those are fine too. But the idea is to make sure that you're thinking like, okay, when I'm doing well in YouTube Shorts, that means that I'm good at making short form content. I'm able to, grab people's attention there, and that's why I'm doing well there. But when it comes to long form content, you have to stack on that skill set and learn how to get better at that. So one thing that I recommend that you do, if you are having the trouble getting people to respond well from like recommendations on YouTube or even YouTube search, is make sure that you go into your traffic sources report, look at your homepage traffic, look at your suggested video traffic, look at your search traffic, and look and see how people are responding to your content from those different places. You can see your click-through rate, you can see the impressions that you're getting, you can see your average view duration, you can see your total percentage viewed, all that stuff, and just look at how people are responding from those. And if you find that like, actually I'm like my shorts, I'm crushing it over here, but like I've got a lot of work that I need to do on my videos, in order to get that better response from YouTube. And when it comes to the actual content itself, that's one thing, but like that's a whole other, obstacle. But then you also have the other obstacle of like just getting people to click on it in the first place. So in your case, if you're not getting that response, then definitely make sure that you are monitoring your audience retention reports and how people are responding to your content there, so you can adjust as needed. And then make sure that you are spending a lot of time researching effective thumbnails on YouTube, that you're studying the homepage, looking at videos with views on them, looking at, seeing like the patterns within the space that you operate, the type of content that you make, I should say, looking at patterns of things that people typically do there. Like, for example, you watch my content. So that means you probably watch other content creators who make content like mine. So one thing that you see is a lot of us will show like, stat screenshots in our thumbnails. And that's just like a common theme. So since that's a common theme in my space, when we use those, that helps people that are into this type of content, that are trying to figure out how to do stuff on YouTube, that helps them identify that these videos are about YouTube, because, they see those screenshots as a theme across most of the videos that make, content like this. In addition to that, another one that you're going to see is like the stats, kind of climbing up like that. Same exact thing there. That's just kind of like a theme that we use, and that kind of helps people identify that it's that type of content, and then it's also reflective of maybe like the result that somebody would get, or that people have gotten in the past, or whatever the thing is. So the idea is to make sure that when it comes to your thumbnails, that you're just thinking like, okay, in addition to just trying to have my own themes and stuff that I do with my thumbnails, the core thing that I need to focus on is like, how can I help people identify this is about something they care about? And then by doing that, or by figuring out how to do that, I should say, research the other channels in your space that are doing well and look for those types of patterns. Like, okay, are people crowding the thumbnail with a bunch of stuff? Are they just focusing on like one thing? Like, what exactly are people doing? And is there things that people are doing across the space that I could tap into that would help people identify that my content is also that type of content? That's just kind of like a quick way to kind of get your foot in the door, so to speak, there on helping people identify that your content is something they care about.
Super
Zach
chat.
Toll, thank you for the super chat. Says, question, how much money did all that stuff cost and what did you do before YouTube? So I've done a lot of stuff. So in my entrepreneurial journey, so I've had a commercial cleaning service where we cleaned commercial office buildings. I had a door-to-door sales company for a decade where we actually went and we did these contracts with automotive service centers where they would give us discount promotions on stuff. And then we would go out and we would basically train people. We would do it ourselves, but we would also train people to go out and sell these things door to door. So it was like a piece of paper. The whole thing cost us $1 and we'd sell them for $60 a pop. So it was a pretty sweet gig, which is why I did it for a decade. And you didn't have to work long either, because basically you would start when people got home at work at night, and then you would quit right around 9 o'clock or so. So you were only working for 4 hours a night, which is pretty awesome, with the exception of going there early. Cause part of what we did, because it was our thing, is we would, have to get everybody all fired up. We had sales meetings and all that. We'd get everybody fired up. So we did have, that side of things, but anyway, so we did that, did the commercial cleaning thing. Let's see here. What else? Done graphic design type stuff, done a lot of freelance related things, just related to online related stuff, helping people rank blogs and search engines back in the day, that kind of stuff. And a lot of those skills helped me out, when it came to YouTube. In terms of the money that all of this stuff in the studio costs, it definitely wasn't cheap. I don't know, I'm not gonna, publicly broadcast, an exact number, but it definitely was, I wouldn't recommend starting with all this stuff. I would wait until you were able to reinvest your YouTube money into it. So when I first started my channel, I, got a good camera. So I did have that, and a good microphone. So basically I just had those things. And then as everything progressed, and once I started getting some momentum on YouTube, then I went and got a DSLR camera. And then I got that because then I found out, because just like everybody else, when you start, I was learning how to do all this stuff. So what I did is I started noticing people having these blurry backgrounds, and it was right when a lot of those cameras were hitting, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. I want my videos to look like that. And then I went and got one of those cameras, and then for whatever reason, because I got the look that I had set out to get, that gave me so much confidence in my content. And it went from okay, this is okay content, to wow, this looks how I want it to look. This is great. Let's start getting creative with this. And it really kind of inspired me once I got the DSLR camera. And then from there, I just kind of built on as I needed stuff. Now it's gotten to the point to where, if I'm honest, I'm a bit overboard with all the tech that I'm using to do this live stream. However, I enjoy the tech stuff. I like tampering with it. I like, getting it to look certain ways. And I like, I just like I dig it. So, because of that, I've invested in the stuff over time. And keep in mind, all this stuff, I didn't just go to a shop and be like, okay, I need I need 4 cameras. I need 2 monitors. I need all, it didn't happen that way, right? It started with a camera and a microphone, then another camera, then another camera, then another, hey, let's see if we can do 2 angles. And then, just kind of built on from there, even with the devices that I'm using. I went from a regular interface to this Rodecaster Pro when it came out. I went from the smaller ATEMs. I went from the one that didn't record to the one that recorded to now the big one that records. So, it's all been steps along the way. Let's see here. So really quick. So Gunslayer says, do you know if engagements make a huge impact of viewership on shorts, or is it mostly retention focused? Mostly retention focused. But definitely, if people are liking your videos, that does let YouTube know that people are enjoying them. So, those types of things do, they're just one of the many signals that, tells YouTube if somebody enjoys content or not. But with everything, the core is how much do people enjoy the content. But when it comes to likes on videos and shorts, those are just one little indicator. If somebody's liking a video, then there's I think the language that they use is if somebody likes the video, then that's a good indication that the person is satisfied with the content, I think, is the language that they use. But then they also put a caveat in there, and they also, this is really interesting. So this is another thing to think about when you're constantly asking people to like your videos and stuff. And as a user, on YouTube, if you're just liking everybody's videos all the time. So another thing that they mentioned in that particular thing, and you can find all of this in the Google help pages, everything I'm getting ready to tell you, some of it's in their creator tips area. Some of it is also when you start digging into other features and stuff, or into other pages in the Google help pages. But one of the other things they said is that they actually put weight on how often people like videos. So like, for example, if you're the type of user on YouTube, or you have a bunch of users on your channel that are just liking every video that they watch, then that lowers the impact that has for that particular user. Because if they're liking every single video, then that like doesn't mean as much. But if there's somebody that is watching a video that only likes videos like hardly ever on YouTube and they like it, then that's like a really strong weighted like for that person, because they typically don't like videos on YouTube, but they liked yours, right? So so those types of things are factored in as well. So it's not just like a, you know, hey, here's the box and like this is how, you know, it is. Like there's a lot of dynamics to how this stuff works too. Like for example, like that insight on like some likes being worth more than other likes is essentially what it is just a really interesting idea if you apply that to every other feature on YouTube as well in terms of how people are interacting with stuff, which is interesting, you know, interesting stuff. But anyway, living in Omaha, David Matney, thank you for the super chat. And you also have a very Merry Christmas as well. Hope that your holidays are awesome over there. Dole Whip Dad, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing great. Let's see here. Next up, we've got Learn Spanish World says that they do educational content. The goal is to contribute with value to the YouTube community and grow my channel. Question is, breaking news. I just got a message from SocialBlade data breach notification. Thank you for saying this. Alerting me that channels and passwords have been compromised. Should we be worried about this? I think I'll change my password right away. So I'm so glad that you mentioned this. Thank you. I meant to say this when the stream first started and I forgot. So for those of you that are hanging out here, it's glad that you're sticking around. So if you are somebody that has connected your account to SocialBlade, I would update your password. If you've just signed up for a SocialBlade account, not a big deal. But if you've connected your account there, I would change your password just to be safe. So I haven't gotten an email because I didn't actually connect my channel over there. But people are getting emails from SocialBlade where they're saying that they don't think that connection is going to, like, you know, expose anybody, you know, for the breach that they had because they had somebody like hack them. But just as like a layer of security to make sure that you're safe, make sure that if you did connect your account to SocialBlade, that you do update your YouTube password. Because Mike, who was in here earlier, he might still be in here somewhere, but Hybrid Steel is his channel. He actually was a victim of that, and he's in the process right now of trying to get his channel back. So if you did connect to SocialBlade, make sure that you are aware of that and that you do make sure that you do update your YouTube password. Next up, we've got Petty Talks TV. Says that they do live streaming, mostly doing interviews about pets. The goal of the channel is to get monetized for my retirement days. And the question is, if I edit a video after the live broadcast is done, add in screens, etc., will the live chats disappear? The live chats will disappear if you edit the content itself. If you just add in screens, you're good. But if you go in and you chop out, like, let's say the intro of your video, then you will lose live chat then. So if you make any edits to the actual video portion of your live stream through the YouTube editor, that's where you'll lose your live chat. If you're losing your live chat already and you're trying to figure out why, make sure that you go into your live stream settings before you go live and make sure that you do have the checkbox enabled to have the live chat on the replay as well, because that's off by default, I believe. So in some cases, people will be live streaming and they're like, man, why aren't my chats still being there when my live stream is complete? It's because of that checkbox. So just make sure that you do that. Let's see here. Yeah, and Creator Classroom says that includes blur. Like anything that you do with the YouTube editor, make sure that make sure that you're aware that can take your live stream chat away. So the name here is Waxtashi. I'm not sure how to say that. I apologize, but I think it's like Waxtashi. And they say that they do anime edits. The goal of the channel is because I want to be like my favorite YouTuber, Xenox. And the question is it normal to have 10 to 12 subscribers per day? And how can I get my first 1,000 subscribers in a month? So when it comes to the first, in terms of 10 to 12 subscribers a day, you are heading in the right direction. In terms of getting your first 1,000 subscribers a month, it will happen. Just keep working on making your videos better. Keep working on adding value to the people that are interacting with your content, and you'll get there. In terms of, trying to fast track that, find the videos on your YouTube channel that generate the most subscribers, typically when you put them out based on the topics that you have, and start making more of those videos that typically generate more subscribers on the YouTube channel. If you're trying to get that first 1,000 subscribers, you can get the partner program, or if you're trying to increase your monthly, subscriber counts. Drew Project, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing awesome. Let's see here. So next up, we've got Bob and Tam's Excellent Adventures. I see what you did there with Bill and Ted's. That's great. I love it. They do motorcycle rallies. The goal of the channel is to help those going or thinking about rallies, what to expect, and all the info needed. Super cool. So quick side story. So where I grew up, I think Chillicothe was about like an hour north, maybe an hour and a half north. And I used to go, I think I went 2 times with a buddy of mine because he had a uncle that lived in that area. He lived like literally, you could like hear it and you could like see the lights from it and all of that for the Easy Rider Rodeo that they had in, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they had it in Chillicothe, Ohio. So we would go up there. His uncle had this huge farm. So basically it was like his place, and he had, let's see here, I think 3 houses on his property. And the property was huge. Like basically when you go in, you he had this gate, and you go in, you drive like to get back to his house. Like it's almost like, like it was pretty much a street that you had to drive down. That was all his property to get back to his house. Like it was just a huge acreage that he had. But we would go up and stay there. He had all these like, I'm not going to say what they were, just, things that you go like this with. He had a bunch of those, 4-wheelers, like all this like cool stuff. He had a barn. He was an entrepreneur, had his own business, made tons of money. So like he had all of these like super fun toys, like these like, high end like RC cars and RC helicopters, like all this like super awesome stuff. So we'd go over there, we'd play with all that stuff, and we just had a great time. But we'd spend like the weekend up there, and then we'd go to like the Easy Rider Rodeo and just kind of hang out over there. But really good time on that side of things. But because you mentioned about rallies, that's why I started talking about that. But anyway, the question is, our views really slow down during non-rally time, trying to do recaps. We also do lives every Sunday, was posting daily with less views, now post 3 times a week. We have 20,000 subscribers, but only getting less than 1,000 views right now on videos. Looking to take the channel to the next level. Questions on how or what we should do. So one thing to think about is people that are into rallies, motorcycle rallies specifically. If they're into motorcycles, then I would start trying to make content around that also, and make it to where, you have your rally content that you put out, because that's the thing that, the channel's kind of themed around. But I would also make sure that you're also just doing like general motorcycle content for them. And then when you're doing the general motorcycle content, if it's not performing as well right now, then I would go through and I would start paying really close attention to your audience retention reports. I'd start paying really close attention to your click-through rate. I'd start paying attention to where you're getting your views from in terms of going into your video, or into your analytics, going into your traffic sources for each individual video, seeing where you're actually getting your views from. And then that's going to help you identify where it is that you need to improve, because you might be getting only 1,000 views on your videos, not because it's not related to rallies, but because the way that you're putting your thumbnails and titles together just might not be enticing to the people that you're trying to reach. Or if they're clicking on them, and this is why using your analytics to uncover this is important. Or if they're clicking on them, maybe they're not enjoying the videos at the level that they need to in order to make it competitive enough for YouTube to show it to more people that are also interested in motorcycles. So because of that, I would just go into your stats and start trying to figure that out, start figuring out how to make the content better, how to make your thumbnails, more identifiable about that subject matter, and then working on the titles to make them more compelling for that audience, and start trying to walk down that road so that you can have a really strong content set that is not dependent on the seasonality of rallies. And then when you do have the rallies, because you're still making content for, people that are into motorcycles, then that's just like a whole other insight that they get to get into, the craziness of some of the stuff that goes down at the motorcycle rallies. So I would definitely consider that. Let's see here. Next up on the list, we've got Cheryl Moore Tucker does yoga and meditation content. The goal of the channel is to help stiff people get fit and flexible. The question is, my business was initially designed to help people with chronic do yoga safely. I'm going to guess that was chronic pain. Do yoga safely. However, after doing a few polls, people say they want strength and flexibility videos. I'm about to pivot and I want to know how long, days, months I should give it to determine if the shift is working. So one thing to make sure that you consider when you're doing this shift is make sure that you are using the grouping feature inside of your YouTube analytics. I have a YouTube short that shows you how to find this, but use the grouping feature in YouTube analytics. Make sure that you're putting the videos about strength and flexibility in there, and that you're putting similar amounts of videos into the comparison group of the yoga safety in general for the people with chronic pain. So if people are trying to develop their strength and flexibility, start making that content if that's the feedback that you're getting. But then from there, you want to go in, you want to compare that content against your other content that you're making and just see how they respond. So some of the information that you can see there, you can see which videos they click on more, you can see which videos they watch for a longer period of time, you can see which videos they engage with more, which videos drive more subscribers, but you don't just see it at the individual level, you can see that too, but you actually see it as the group. So you can be like, this content type performs this way, this content type performs this way, based on the goals that I have for the channel, I'm gonna focus on this right now. So that will give you tons of insight. But one thing that you also want to make sure that you're doing is that when you're publishing those, just monitor how people respond to them. Because one thing that you're going to find when it comes to YouTube is you have the vocal minority, and those are the people that are in your comment section. They're giving you feedback on your videos. They're the most vocal with what it is that you're doing. They're answering your community polls and stuff like that. And then you have data at scale and how people are responding to your content at scale. And the two don't always sync up. So what you want to make sure that you're doing is you take the feedback that you're getting, because you definitely want to serve your community, but then you start making that content and you see how people respond to it at scale. Because if you're wanting to really, get the channel moving, you got to make sure you're thinking at scale, but you also want to make sure that you're, hooking up the people that are interacting with the content and that you are giving them, what it is that they want as well. So you just want to make sure that you are just kind of tracking that, right? So using the grouping feature is going to, help you identify that you're making the right choice. But in terms of the length, I'm not sure. Let's see here. You did... Okay, you're doing one time per week or more. So with that, you should know within the first 90 days how they compare. In reality, depending on the view counts that you're getting, you might be able to figure it out within the first month. If you're like, hey, I'm just gonna do a month of strength and flexibility, you'll be able to see relatively fast. If you're getting a decent amount of view counts, you'll be able to see relatively fast how people are responding to that, to let you know if that's the right path or not. But keep in mind, one more thing I want to say before we move on to the next question is, if you do make strength and flexibility videos, and even if those do well, if people are also still enjoying the other content, then I would also just have that as well. So then that way you can start creating different pillars. So hey, this is the yoga safety for people with chronic pain. This is the strength and flexibility, or these are the strength videos, and I would actually section those out differently. These are the strength videos around yoga, and then these are the flexibility videos around yoga. And then I would start comparing all of those, and then over time, let's say that's where, if you're breaking them down that way, that's where you'd want to give it about 90 days. But then over that 90-day period, you're going to start getting a really clear picture. And again, with view counts, you might be able to start getting this picture faster, but I would give it, 90 days is kind of the window to make the call. But basically, you'll be able to start seeing okay, when I make flexibility videos, these are how people typically respond to those. This is how people typically respond to the strength videos. And this is how people typically respond to the safety videos. And then that'll give you a really clear picture on which, path you want to go, or at least when you're putting your content strategy together, you can say, okay, if I'm trying to get more subscribers, this content typically generates more subscribers. So I'm going to make sure that I'm making more of this content for the channel health. This type of content typically drives more views to my business. So I'm making more content. So I got to make sure that I'm putting in this many videos in my publishing schedule to make sure that I'm serving the business. And then these videos over here typically drive more view counts. So because of that, again, for channel health, I'm going to make sure that I'm putting in a certain number of these so that I can kind of fill that need as well. So basically, when you're putting your content strategy together, especially since you're doing this for business, I would make sure that you're just thinking of or that you're looking for, this stuff helps drive the channel, this stuff helps drive business, and then start, putting your content calendar together accordingly. So Richie Rate says, do you have any snow by you? I do not. So where I am, it is either hot or it's really hot. So I'm over in Thailand. So because of that, we do not have snow here. It's actually, we have where I live, about 2 hours away, we have the highest peak, the highest mountain in Thailand. And it's a big deal every year when there's frost. Like that's what I'm dealing with in terms of the temperature. So like when there's frost, it's like in the news, like people are sharing it on Facebook. People are driving from Bangkok to like go and like, to check out the frost on the ground. Like it's a big deal when we get frost over here. So definitely do not have snow. Okay, we already answered a question from this one, so I'm going to move on to the next one here. We've got Thand141 Homestead. They have a lifestyle channel. The goal of the channel is to share the homesteading lifestyle and help others learn about the day-to-day and to make money. And the question is, I've seen and heard that if you have two people on a live stream on StreamYard, you can stream to both channels at the same time. Is this true, and how's it done? Don't do that. So if you want to do that, YouTube has a built-in version. Actually, it still doesn't work that way. So yeah, you don't want to put the same live stream on two different YouTube channels. That you can run into problems with that. So I go back and forth with people. So StreamYard has a Facebook community, and I'll go back and forth with people on that sometimes and send them like screenshots from like Google Help and all of that. But that's duplicate content. You do not want to do that because you're literally putting the same exact content on both channels. So the thing that you'd want to do there, if you're going to do that, is you would want to make sure that what people are seeing on your YouTube channel is different than what people are seeing on the other YouTube channel. But if you're multicasting, you're not going to be able to do that. But if you're multicasting in different ways, then you would be able to do that. And what I mean by that is if like they're using StreamYard or you're using StreamYard in one instance, and then let's say you have another computer and then you're both in StreamYard in that instance, and you have the audio, you just use an audio splitter to, get you into, both computers. And then that way, they can hear everything on theirs and then they can hear everything on yours, but then they get a different experience on both channels, then it's not duplicate content anymore. So if you're going to do that and you're going to take that approach, make sure they're just having a different experience on each channel. The audio would be the same, but the experience that they would be having visually would be different. The titles would be different. The descriptions would be different. It would be a different piece of content. Just the audio would be the only thing that would cross over. But I really would not multicast to different YouTube channels. Sunflower Tosha DIYs, thank you for the super chat. Super appreciate the super chat there. Much appreciated. Super sticker. Sorry about that. Yeah, and Doug says different platforms, not multiple channels. Right. Yeah, like that's the real win when it comes to StreamYard, or one of the real wins is like it's not necessarily about broadcasting to multiple YouTube channels. It's about being able to broadcast to multiple platforms. So then you could have like their Facebook or your YouTube channel, their Facebook group, your you can multicast into Facebook into different things. So maybe, different Facebook, groups that you're going into, and then like one YouTube channel is the approach that you want to take. So this is a life says, do you know if gear is a tax write-off as a sole proprietor, even before we've made any money on YouTube? Not looking for financial advice, of course. You're great, by the way. Yeah, so as not giving financial advice, yes, you should, depending on, the country and the state that you're in, you should be able to write off your camera stuff because it is a business expense, even if you are using it as a startup expense with what it is that you're doing. But I would definitely, get a accountant to to co-sign that to be safe for your for your local area. Let's see here. So next up on our list, we've got Econobox Garage. Says they do the type of channels mostly working on cars with the occasional automotive blood review or automotive boot review, maybe 3 or 4 per year. The goal of the channel is to show the average person can successfully work on cars without necessarily having a large budget, the latest and greatest tools, or even an automotive background. The question is it necessary or advantageous to have my face in videos and thumbnails? Thanks. It is not necessary to have your face anywhere on YouTube. So commentary, of course, is definitely a win because there, you can take people through a process, but you can use, any of the videos that you've taken or B-roll or whatever, or stock footage, whatever you need in order to, show the imagery. But for the audio, I would definitely make sure you're talking in the audio, because you want to be able to, take people through the video instead of it just like playing music and showing a bunch of just showing a slideshow. In terms of, is it advantageous? Yes, it is. So it's advantageous because if somebody is watching your video and you're on camera, then they can make that connection with you, right? So the nuances of your personality, things like that, can be better expressed through your videos if you're in them. But you can do fine. Like you can have a thriving YouTube channel, you can grow a huge following, you can make tons of money without ever having to put your face on camera. But you just give yourself that minor advantage of people just connecting to you more if you do. So that comes down to like, if you're like, you know what, I don't want to have to like set all this stuff up, or I don't even want to have to carry a camera. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to have to like learn to present anything like that. Then in that case, like you're totally fine just showing the footage. One thing I would do though, is I would make sure that your commentary is on point. So I would make sure that you really learn like how to do commentary and how to process your audio to make your audio really good. So when people are watching, it's like, wow, this is like, sounds good. And then for your footage as well, like I would just try to make the footage as good as you can. Again, you don't have to spend, I mean, the way phones are now, you can do everything on your phone and you'll do awesome. But I would definitely just try to make sure that you're at that, like, here's the thing you got to think about. Like when it comes to like quality with anything, you need, and this is for everybody here, when it comes to quality on YouTube, like you need to make sure that your content is quality enough in terms of like how your audio sounds and the things that people are seeing on screen. You got to make sure that it's quality enough that the quality itself isn't a distraction, right? That's it. You just have to hit that threshold. So basically it just has to be quality enough to where when somebody comes into the video, they're not like, oh, I can't hear what's going on, so I'm leaving and I'll watch something else. Or to where they come into the video, they're like, oh yeah, I can't even like see what's going on. Or so the camera's like super shaky. I can't even like see what they're looking at. So they leave, right? That's where it's a distraction. So you just have to get things to the point where it's not a distraction. But if you can level it up even a little bit past that, and you can make sure that like everything just looks good, and you can, just spend that time putting everything together in a way that just creates a more, just when they watch it, they're like, wow, this is good stuff. Like that's, that's what you want to try to create. But at the end of the day, as long as people are like enjoying the content and it's not, there's no distractions in the quality, then, you can do everything that you need to do with just your phone, and you can thrive in massive ways on YouTube. Let's see here. Next question on the list is the Project Equestrian. Hey, what's going on? Hope you're doing awesome. The goal of the channel is to make money doing something that I'm passionate about. And the question is, do you have suggestions on following up on a high-performing video that is not repeatable? I recently had a horseback riding accident. Sorry to hear that. And I knew that the video would perform well. Sure enough, it's currently performing 30 times better than my average video. I waited till the initial video's views dropped a bit and released the follow-up video in the same series playlist on my thoughts on the accident and getting back on it. The follow-up video is being suggested from the initial video and is performing about 5 times better than my average video. Do you have any suggestions on what I can continue to do or things that I should have done differently? What you did is fantastic, and that was actually going to be my recommendation. So when I read the first part of your question, the thing I was going to say is like talk about like, more details about your accident, talk about how you're going to get back on the horse, literally, talk about, that part of the process, but you've already done that. So you're, doing the right thing there. If there is anything that you could talk about, maybe like, related to the accident again, like in terms of like, how much the accident maybe cost you, or like, what you've learned from it in terms of like, dealing with, the animal or like anything like that, then, adding to it that way would be okay. But you're going to run out of that stuff, right? You don't want to make your whole channel about horse accidents, right? So because of that, like I would just lean on that as like, okay, people are responding to this. That's good. It's going to bring a lot of attention to the channel. So since it's going to bring a lot of attention to the channel, I just need to make sure that, the content that I'm putting out over the next like, month or two is as like, it's still targeted towards the same people that you're trying to reach, but I wouldn't like niche down within the audience. Like I would make sure that everything that you're talking about is as broad as possible so that all the people that are interested in the horse stuff and they're like, oh gosh, I hope I don't have an accident, or what happens if you have an accident, all those people, so that as you are making or publishing those new videos, that you can reach as many of those people that are interacting with that video as possible. So what I mean by that is, instead of being like, like what to do with this specific horse, which would alienate like a large percentage of the audience, then making it about like, like a tips for, people that ride horses, or, however you would frame that or whatever. But the idea is just think of it from the lens of like, how can I make this reach the most amount of people that are interested in this topic for the next videos that you're going to be publishing for a while. All right. So this is the first time this has happened in a really long time, but that's all the questions in the form. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop into the chat for the remainder of the time that we have here on the stream today. And I'm just going to start taking questions out of the chat. We're going to call this the lightning round. So how this works is if you have a question, make sure you put a Q in front of your question and then drop it in the chat. That's how I identify that it's for me. So put a Q in front of your question, and then it's going to show up in the chat. And I'm just going to answer as many as I can within the next few minutes here. And then we will, we'll go from there. So what's a good starter camera to start with under $100? So if you have a computer that you can attach it to, then you can start with a Logitech C922 webcam. But really, I would just save that $100 and I would save up until you can get something like a ZV-1 or something like that. Let's see here. Next up, we've got This Is Life. Oh, it's jumping on me here. It says, hey, Nick, what are the 3 tips or advice that you would have told your beginner self before you even reached 1,000 subscribers? Double down on the skill sets because, this stuff, the more you learn in terms of how to make thumbnails that pop, the more you learn, the better you get at your Photoshop, the better you get at editing all that stuff, the better you're going to do. So I would just double down on skill set, and I would spend more time just on the skill set side of things for the sake of just leveling that skill set up. In addition to that, I would be a little bit more intentional with the direction of the channel. So when I first started, I didn't know, being a YouTube help person was not in my cards, right? That wasn't what I had set out to do. So what I was talking about is I did have some content creator focused things because I was making content at the time. And I was talking about other things that were relevant in my life at the time, like how to stay focused when you're working at a coffee shop and stuff like that. And then, other opportunities actually led me into an entire different YouTube channel. And then that led me back to here because I burned out on that channel. And then I had to, I caught the bug there. So I had to develop a resource that I could bring attention to and then start, kind of better targeting this channel from all the stuff that I learned, working on that channel, those sorts of things. So I would get super clear. Couple things. One, double down on the skill set. The second would be to get super clear on who it is that I'm making content for. And the third, and this isn't in any particular order, by the way, the third is to be very clear about what it is that I want out of the efforts that I'm putting into YouTube too. Because I started doing really well off of YouTube relatively fast, but it could have all happened a lot faster. So because of that, I would just get super clear on who I'm after, what it is that I want out of making the content, and working on the skill sets to get better at the craft. Those 3 things will get you where you want to go if you just spend all of your efforts on those things. Building the skills, serving the audience because you know who it is that you're after, which helps you in all of your content decisions. It helps you with decisions of the sponsors you choose to work with or not. It helps you in every way when you know who it is that you're after with your, with your videos in terms of the audience you're trying to serve. And then knowing what you want helps also with the content that you make. It helps you with the opportunities that are going to come your way, because one thing about having a successful YouTube channel, and by successful, I don't mean hundreds of thousands of subscribers and views. What I mean is a channel that is getting consistent views, maybe 5,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, 20,000 subscribers. Those are successful channels, and you can make bank with channels. Even it seems like that you have to have big channels on YouTube to make money. But in reality, you can make substantial amounts of money with smaller followings on your YouTube channel. But I would get clear on those things. And then in addition to that, I would also make sure that when you are embarking on this journey, that if you are one of the people that are hey, I want to do this full time, or I want to, make a living off of this, that you approach it in that way from jump. And what that means is making sure that you are one of the things of running a business is you have to generate income. So as part of what it is that you're doing and knowing what it is that you want and the audience that you serve and all of that, figuring out how can I monetize this in the best and fastest ways possible so that I can go full time as fast as possible. So then I can really start, serving my community, and I can really start doubling down on my skill sets and all of that stuff, because I've figured out by taking the business approach, I figured out, the content, the niches that I can thrive in. I figured out the things that are the most monetizable, that align with the type of content that I want to make and things like that. So I'd focus on those things. Great question. Let's see here. Next up, I got to scroll down here. I'm looking for Doug's lightning round thing. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Q helps Nick see your question. Yep, got that. Eddie Roberts says, should I start a Facebook group right out of the gate? You can, but I would focus on the skills, man, because as soon as you start a Facebook group, that's time that's going to be taken for you to manage that Facebook group. So until you start thriving on your YouTube channel, I would focus on learning how to thrive, like learning how to get your YouTube channel going. And then once you start getting like consistent views and stuff, you're like, okay, I'm heading in the right direction. All the videos I publish start to get an acceptable view count for where I'm at right now. Now I can start trying to like figure out other things that I might be able to, to lead people into. But I would start with just like, if you're trying to grow a YouTube channel, I would start there and I would be like, okay, I'm putting all of my spare time right now into learning and understanding YouTube and into developing the skills that I need to, to make it all happen. How to create better how-to shorts. Make them punchy and snappy is one thing that I found to be more effective there, is just try to make them punchy and snappy and share exactly what they need and then wrap it up. Let's see here. How do you use the GoPro to get it into your live stream? So this GoPro, it's actually not hooked up right now. I mean, it's hooked up. I just don't have it turned on. But for that one, I just HDMI out of the GoPro and then I get it into my A10 Mini. And then that I just select it on the A10 Mini and then that brings it in. And then from there, in the GoPro settings themselves, you can go through and you can select the option to turn off all the on display stuff. So then you don't see like the recording thing or you don't see any of the little icons on there. You just see the raw footage. A good starter camera would be your smartphone, to be honest. Yeah, I agree. Deathrec Gaming says a good smartphone would be your best place. Yeah, I agree. Smeem says, I'm in high school right now and school is quite tiring. I've got little to no motivation to post new videos anymore. Is there anything that I could do to get the ball rolling again? So since you're in high school, I recommend, of course, that you focus on making sure that you're doing good there, right? Because that's something that you need to, make sure that you're putting the effort into. I know it's not what you want to hear. I barely made it through high school myself, but I made sure that I did. But like make sure that, you do, put the effort that you need into that, even if it does take a lot of your energy, because you want to have that. Like you want to do well there. But when it comes to your YouTube channel, one, if you like right now, especially if you're in high school, there's all these other activities that you're doing right now that are also taking up a lot of time. So one thing that you might want to think about is like, okay, out of all of the activities that I'm doing, once school is finished, like what one thing would I be okay not doing so that I could focus time on my YouTube channel? And then don't do that thing and then focus on your YouTube channel. So for example, if you're spending a lot of time watching Netflix, you're spending a lot of time on TikTok, right? Like go look at your phone, look at your screen time, see the apps that you're spending time on, and you might be surprised that you're spending a lot of time watching content that you could be making content. So because of that, if that means like, hey, I'm not going to watch TikTok every month, or I'm not going to spend any time, I'm going to spend 0% of time on YouTube or any social media app every week until I complete a YouTube video. Once I complete a YouTube video, my reward for completing that YouTube video and getting that thing done that I want to do is that I get to spend some, extra time on social media and, analyzing other people's stuff and all of that. But just look for those little things that you can give up in order to make space for the things that you want to do. Great question though. John Erdl says how to get viewers on a new channel besides optimizing search. Optimizing search is a great first path because then that, like when people are looking for your content, it's easy to get them to respond to it. And then once they respond to it, that tells YouTube that this type of person's interested in this type of content, which, helps long-term. So that's a great way to start. But when it comes to getting viewers outside of YouTube search, that's where you have to start spending tons of time, effort, and energy learning how to get people to click on what it is that you're doing. And then of course, learning how to serve them in the content and create a great experience for them, because getting people to click is one thing, but you also have to get them to enjoy the content. If you can spend the time learning how to do those things and you can get those in place, then YouTube will take care of it from there. But at the end of the day, what you have to make sure that you're focusing on is like that viewer experience. If you can create a good one, then YouTube will continue to show your content to people and you'll be able to thrive on YouTube for quite some time. If you are like just trying to like hurry up and get it all going, then in that case, you're probably going to like miss some stuff and it might be a little bit, more difficult to get rolling. So I would just make sure that you are focusing on, on learning how to do the thing in terms of making the good content and learning how to get people to respond to it from the recommendation features. And then once you do that, then you're going to have that skill set and you'll be able to apply that everywhere. So I would make sure that you focus on those things. Renee Ritchie says, what creator features would you most want to see from YouTube in 2023? Whoa. Okay. So let's see here. What creator features would I most like to see? So I would love to see, man, this is a good one. Man, I wish you would have asked me this earlier in the stream when my brain was more fresh. So what would I like to see on YouTube in 2023 in terms of features? I would love to see a comment feed. So I know that we have it inside of like the YouTube Creator Studio app where, you can go and you can see your comments there and you can just kind of go through them that way. But when you are in there, and you know this because you're a creator, so when you go in there, you get to see all the like new comments that are coming in, but you have to look to find like any replies and things like that. I think I would love to see a Twitter-like feed to where you can see like, okay, these are the new comments. These are the comments that, people replied to that I should go and reply through there. So we can start having actual conversations. Like when it comes to YouTube, it's a community thing, right? Like the culture of YouTube, and you know this, I'm just saying it for, everybody else in the chat, but the culture of YouTube is what makes YouTube what it is, right? It's the culture. That's what makes people like want to come from other platforms and come here. I mean, the money is good too, but like, that culture of YouTube is, one of the things that kind of glues everybody to YouTube. So I think that creating the community side and doubling down on like, okay, how can we make it better and easier for viewers to interact with the content creators and for the creators to interact with their viewers? I think that would be fantastic because, for example, I would love to open up my Creator Studio app and go to the comment section. And when I go to the comment section, instead of just seeing all the new replies, seeing like, all of the things. So I can actually start having real conversations without having to isolate it down to a video and then going in and looking within, the comments of that video for the ones that have been replied to and all of that, or the ones that, that I should reply to again, because they're trying to have a conversation, being able to just see that and just have like, in public conversations with everybody, right there in the comment section. I think that would make the comment section a lot more lively and a lot more for us as the creators. I think that would help us connect with our communities at a much deeper level. So having something like that, I think would be great. In addition to that, D says it right here. I was just getting ready to say that. Mobile live tagging. So when it comes to live streams, and I think we've mentioned this before, but like right now, I don't know if you have access to my stats or not, or if you can see that stuff, but like if you go into my channel right now, most of the people that are hanging out here right now, they're on a mobile device. Like most of the people that are watching this stream right now, they're on a mobile phone. And since it's difficult to tag people, that creates a barrier between like somebody being able or wanting to engage and have conversations with others in the chat, which puts a limitation on the interaction that we can have. So like, for example, if I'm like let's say I'm in bed and my girlfriend's already asleep and I'm like, hey, let me just go and hop into somebody's live stream and I'm wanting to sit there and interact and I can, but I don't even get confirmation. Even if I spell it out, I do the @ and then I'll do like, the name and then their underscore and then the name or the space or whatever. I don't even get a linked a confirmation to even know that I did it correctly, that they'll properly get tagged, right? So so having that whole thing built out for me, I think that would be fantastic. Both of those things I think would be helpful on the community side of YouTube. D would love to see improved content ID detection. That whole thing you already know is a huge issue, but getting all that sorted to where people that make music, to where it's just much easier for them to be able to control the music, and all that would be great. To where, the content ID system wasn't, or there was another version. Cause like right now we have our copyright pages in our YouTube channels, but even that, it doesn't work. So like, for example, like D will upload videos of some of our music content to other YouTube channels. They've been up there for months and months and months and months, and they've never shown up in the content area of the main YouTube channel for the music stuff. So like that whole thing is broken, right? So having it to where that would at least be accurate, to where it'd be easier for people to keep track of just their content in general, not just music, but just their content in general, making it to where it's just more, widespread that way would be fantastic. Let's see here. What else? I think that So we talked about the chat thing. Yeah, I think those things would be the things that I would focus on right now, because those are actual like limiting things, right? Like I'm sure there's stuff that could happen to, make everything, else better. But in terms of, things that kind of limit interactions that people can have, I would like, if YouTube was mine, I would be trying to fix those so that I could just get more people like interacting with it. Because, like if I have the option to tag people on my phone, then I'm going to be a lot more likely to just talk in the chat, because and I'm sure you run into this problem too, because people know you. So like when I go into a chat, like a lot of times if I'm on my phone, I won't even say anything. And the reason I don't say anything is because I know that depending on the chats that I'm hanging out in, like let's say I go into my brother's chat or Daniel Batal's chat, then in that case, like if I say something, there's going to be a lot of people just because of the crossover in our communities that are going to be like, oh, hey, Nick, hey, Nick, hey, Nick. And then I'm going to feel like a jerk because I can't tag people and, all of that. So because of that, I just don't engage at all, just because I want to avoid me feeling like a jerk, right? And I want to avoid other people not feeling like they weren't recognized or something like that because I wasn't able to, tag them when they were, shouting me out or whatever. So, those things are things that I would definitely work on. And then of course, I know you guys are already working on it, but in addition to that, also making that bridge just a little bit better. And I know that it's being worked on right now, but just that bridge a little bit better between like the short form and long form content. But I know all of that stuff is being tuned, right now anyway. But just so it's just just as many easy paths as possible to get people from YouTube Shorts into long form content, or just more involved in the long form content from the Shorts. Let's see here. Next question that we have is from Sean D. Wispalare. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if not. Says, is the following too small of a niche, the creative resource for fitness professionals? By creative resource, I'm not sure what you mean there. But if you're serving fitness professionals, then, if you have fitness professionals as your target audience and that's who you're serving, as long as you can do, like with whatever creative, what did you say there? Creative resources means. For that, as long as there's a big enough market for it, then I think you're fine. But if you're like researching it and you're like, this probably isn't something that fitness people are going to be doing on a regular basis, then in that case, you might want to just think of a wider thing that you might be, a wider net you'll be able to cast to be able to serve the fitness professional community. Jigsaw Puzzle, Smoke and Ivories, what's going on? Hope you're doing great. Jigsaw Puzzles and Jam says, how does sponsorship work? Who makes first contract, pricing, etc.? So the pricing is going to come down to you. In some cases, the sponsors are going to offer pricing to you. They'll say, hey, we're giving, this much for a sponsored video, and then you can negotiate from there. In other cases, they're going to ask you, what you're charging for, different placements. In terms of how it works of who makes the first contact, that can be them or you, depending on what's going on. So if you want to be aggressive, then you can be out there, putting yourself out there, trying to interact with the companies that you're trying to work with, sending them media kits, things like that, trying to contact their influencer marketing people so that they can at least know that you're available in case they want to work with you, so that you basically, your whole thing there is just like, hey, I want to get on their radar. So, doing that is definitely a thing you can do. If you want to be extremely passive about it, then you just focus on making awesome content and growing your community, and then you'll have brands reaching out to you over time. But for all of that, when it comes to that first contact thing, that's going to come down to, like if you want to like go after it, then by all means you can go after it. But if you don't, if you're like, hey, I'm not a salesperson, I don't want to be trying to hit people up all the time and things like that, then in that case, you're just going to have to sit back and wait for them to email you. When it comes to pricing, you're going to have to decide what it's worth for you. There's formulas for it you can find online. I don't support those formulas. The reason I don't support those formulas is because they're in favor of the companies, and they don't consider like the worth of a content creator. They don't consider the worth of the brand of a content creator. They don't consider the wear and tear on camera equipment. They don't consider, all of those things. They don't consider the time that you spend interacting with the companies. Those formulas only look at view counts and average view counts, and that's the only thing that matters to them. But instead, I encourage you to think about everything involved in making content when you're pricing what it is that you're doing. I encourage you to think about the value that your brand has with the community that you have. I encourage you to consider the engagement that you have when you do put out content, and the way that people are interacting with your content, and the value that you can bring to the brands through the way that people are interacting with your content as well. Next up, we've got how do you make unique... Oh, hey, Renee, another thing And actually, Jerry's comment here saying voiceover in Shorts creator tool. So another thing that I think YouTube should have as well is they should also, I mean, it's a video platform, and I know there's processing, which is probably why they don't do this, but it would also be awesome if YouTube just like really flushed out their editor to where people that either can't afford editing software or they don't have a computer that's strong enough to run, free software to where they could actually log into YouTube and actually upload their videos in there and edit, like have like a full editing suite inside of YouTube. I know on the processing side, that might be massive for rendering. So that might be why you guys don't do it. But that would also be a really cool feature just for people that are just trying to get into it. And they're trying to use YouTube as an opportunity to, change their lives and the lives of people around them. I think that would be a really cool thing as well. And I mean, considering that it's a video platform, like you would think that would just be a part of it anyway. But, I think that would be a huge value add to people that are just getting started. Let's see here. Makito TV says, how do you make unique videos in very popular niches like movies? You got to find either a unique angle for it. You need to kind of combine niches. So basically what you can do is you can be like, okay, here's how people are doing it in the movie world. Now let's go watch tons of other videos on other types of things and see if I could apply any of that type of stuff to what it is that, that I'm going to be doing in the movie content to make it more unique. In addition to that, you doing the content is a unique element for the content. So, so the angle that you can take can be, one of the unique elements, but also you adding, like you putting the content together in the way that you think it should be put together, adding the information that you think should be added to the videos to make them interesting. That is a thing that separates you from other people. So for example, just because you watch my content, I'll use myself as an example here, but like one of the things that, you'll see when you watch my type of content is we all talk about, the same ideas, right? We all say the same things in terms of like, in a nutshell, you got to learn how to get people to enjoy your content. And then we'll break all that stuff down. We'll share all kinds of different tips and tricks and tools and all that stuff that you can use to do it. But at the end of the day, out of all the types of people that make content like mine, you watch me and then you have select other ones that you watch as well. You may or may not watch everybody that you've ran across. You're going to end up resonating with some more than others. That person might be me. It might end up being, Ed over at Film Booth. It might end up being Nate over at Channel Makers. It might end up being Brian G. Johnson. It might end up being, somebody else. But the idea is that within a niche of content, different people are going to resonate with different content creators. So, because of that, just make sure that the you side of what it is that you're doing and your input into the content and your creativity that you're adding to it, like in a lot of cases, that's enough to separate you. But of course, I would look for, other things that you can do to stand out, like, adding elements from other types of content and things like that. Let's see here. Please tell about the safety from a hacker. Okay, that's a great one. So in terms of safety from your YouTube channel, one, make sure, you have to have two-factor authentication turned on now. So just make sure that that's set up. In addition to that, also make sure that you are, make sure that the email that you have in your About Me, on your About Me page, your business inquiry email, make sure that email is not the same email that is connected to your YouTube account. The reason for that is because you're basically giving people a starting point. In addition to that, try not to publicly give out too much information around things that people can find via your YouTube channel, because if you do that, then people can also use that information to, get access to things as well. So basically just try to make sure that you're keeping all of that, under control. Zen Bloke says, I make content on my PS5 with Share Factory Studio using a green screen with no problems, but when I live stream, I get green screen fog with the same setup. Help. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the solution is for that. I'm not sure, lighting, I guess, would be the main thing for that. Yeah, I wish I could help you there, but unfortunately, Zen Bloke, I don't have the answer to that one. Hopefully somebody else has a suggestion for you in the chat. Gardening with Bear Brown says, what should be the focus once you hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours? Figuring out what got you there and how you can serve that community in the best way possible. In addition to that, I would definitely make sure that you are researching other channels in your space, looking at their channels to see the type of content that they're putting out that typically gets, the best results. Make sure you're looking at recent content for that. And then start trying to think of, complementary videos that you can make or unique videos that you could make that, those types of viewers would also enjoy. But basically the idea is if you can get 1,000 subscribers, you can get 100,000, you can get 1,000,000 because you have that proof of concept with 1,000 random people. It's just filling the gap between reaching that 1,000 and reaching those bigger numbers with providing value to the people that are interacting with your content. And you figure that out by looking at the content that got you to that 1,000 hours and 4,000 hours of watch time. And you start thinking like, okay, why did people respond better to these videos that did well compared to the videos that didn't? And then testing the theories that you come up with against new content that you publish. Let's see here. So Real World Natural Living says, I've gained some subs from some fun shorts that are unrelated to my normal content. Is this a good strategy? No. So what you want to do is when you are publishing long form, like if it's coming from the same channel, you want to be making content that serves the same audience. The reason for that is because YouTube has recently, over the last few months, they've built a bridge, so to speak, between short form and long form content. What that means is if somebody enjoys your shorts content, they're more likely to get recommended your long form content. So if you make content that's unrelated to your long form content in the short shelf, then YouTube might recommend some of your content to those people, but because it's not something that they're really interested in, they're not going to respond to it, which then is going to hurt that response to that video, which means that YouTube is going to be less likely to show it to other people that are enjoying the shorts if everybody that's enjoying the shorts isn't clicking on the long form content. So because of that, you want to make sure that you try to stay in alignment with the audience that you're serving. All right. And on that note, I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. I do want to remind you that this stream is made possible by TubeBuddy and StreamYard, as well as the other channel sponsors. So make sure that you do check out everything that I have listed in the description of this stream right now. Make sure that you do also check out Creator Mix, which is our free music service for YouTube content creators. Make sure that you check out TubeSpanner.com, which is a YouTube toolkit if you haven't yet as well. And besides that, have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I will be live streaming next week. I'm going to be streaming with my brother D. Not sure if we're going to be doing it in the old studio, if we're going to be doing it here, not sure yet, but make sure that you come and hang out for the, that's going to be our Christmas stream. It's going to be Christmas Eve on our side, and it'll be morning Christmas Eve on your side. So I'm not sure how it's going to do, but if you are somebody that's just kind of chilling out in the morning time on Christmas Eve, make sure you swing by and hang out there for some more YouTube information. That particular one's probably going to be a little bit different. It's probably going to be a lot more conversational. We'll be answering questions and stuff, but it might not be as focused as this. If you ever hung out in some of the old streams, you'll know what I mean by when I say that. But definitely make sure that you check it out because it's going to be a really good time. And on that note, make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And thank you so much for your time and for hanging out. And I do want to remind you, if you are a new content creator, I know during these streams, we share a lot of information about a lot of different things. I answered like 42 questions today. And out of those questions, you might have heard a lot of information and think like, man, I got so much stuff I have to do. You might. And YouTube, is hard, but just keep in mind that it's just a learning curve is all it is. And there's just things that you need to learn and things you need to understand and get into place so that you can thrive on YouTube if you're not already. So just make sure that you don't look at it as this huge mountain, but instead look at it as just small steps that you have to take and little, details that you have to learn so that you can, do the thing. So if you really want to thrive on YouTube, just remember that everything is about the viewer experience. So focusing on just making awesome content for people and learning the skills that you need to do or that you need to in order to make great content for people. And if you can focus on that, then you'll do awesome. So just, have a great weekend and make sure that you don't look at this as like an overwhelming thing. Because trust me, if I can do this stuff and if my brother can do this stuff, you can definitely do this stuff. So just learn how to do it. That's all you got to do. So have a great weekend. In case I don't see you next weekend, have a very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, depending on whatever it is that you celebrate. Just have an awesome one. And in case I don't see you on New Year's, have a Happy New Year's as well. And I will see you next time.